Chapter-261-Her Father. The dark room was silent. Lu Han sat cross-legged on the futon without breath, like a sculpture that has remained unchanged for eternity, the strange breath suddenly rippling, and then quickly disappeared. The room was silent again, after a long, long time. This is the 5th day of Lu Han's sleepless retreat. Since the last time he killed Gui Deng Chuntao, he announced the retreat and ordered people, if it is not an emergency, everything will be decided by Sarutobi Luo Ting. Don't disturb him. Before his exit, the Anbu ninjas in the Konoha Anbu station in Uzushiogakure village were temporarily ruled by Sarutobi Rodan. Lu Han is practicing the no-trace lock technique. He doesn't sleep, on the one hand, for continuous and uninterrupted cultivation, on the other hand, because he doesn't want to dream. He can't dream of Danzo, he doesn't want his thoughts to be disturbed by Danzo. A ninja can normally practice for 15 or 6 hours a day, while Lu Han retreats for 5 days in one breath, which is 120 hours, plus 10 times the effect of the golden potion, 1,200 hours, which is equivalent to a normal ninja. Practice for 2.5 months. Any technique is more difficult to practice as you go backwards. Relatively speaking, it is easy at the beginning and extremely difficult at the end. That's why Lu Han practiced the no-trace lock technique so desperately and laboriously. Every time he upgrades the untraceable lock technique by 1 level, from LV1 to LV2, he will save 20 ingots, and if he upgrades 1 level, he will save another 20 ingots. 5 days ago, Lu Han thought about whether to recover the Kurigakure-S blade. In fact, he was very reluctant to give it up. During the few months in the Land of Water, the Kurigakure-S blade was of great help to him. He already understood the magic of the Kurigakure-S blade. The final decision is not to recycle. 6 days ago, Lu Han had thought about retrieving the Kurigakure blade in the subversive space. At that time, it was less than 120 ingots, so he was in no hurry. There was a long silence in the dark room. Lu Han suddenly frowned. He felt someone hurriedly entering the outside yard, slowly opened his eyes, and stayed up for 5 days and 5 nights. Lu Han's eyes were full of bloodshot, full of exhaustion. Lu Han first opened the attribute page and looked at it, and found the line of the secret technique, the technique of no-trace lock. A-level secret art, no-trace lock art, LV4 level. Okay. Lu Han couldn't recognize the whisper, which was equivalent to 2.5 months of normal practice. Lu Han, relying on his own talent, raised the technique of the traceless lock to LV4, with a sensing range of more than 100 miles, although the distance with Danzo's 1,000 miles sensed LV6 is still a long way off, but Lu Han only needs to spend 40 ingots to exchange 2 scrolls to upgrade to LV6, and 60 ingots to exchange for 3, he can upgrade to LV7. That way, you can surpass the level of Danzo's untraceable lock puppet, and reverse and manipulate the traceless lock mother's curse on Danzo. For 5 days and 5 nights without sleep, 5 bottles of golden potions were consumed, which is equivalent to saving 60 ingots. It's a bargain. One day, I will enter the subversive space again, and then. Lu Han muttered. A small voice suddenly sounded outside the door, and then Hyuga Luo Ning's crisp voice sounded. Master Hangguang, Master Luo Ting sent someone to tell you that there is an emergency. Let you go there, in the military. Understood. Lu Han responded. He didn't say anything for a few days, and his voice was unusually hoarse. Uzushiogakure Village, Military Department. In the spacious hall, several mixed army captains were there, and there was a ninja handle at the door. Sarutobi Rodan walked back and forth in the hall, his brows furrowed and his expression solemn. Call. 2 whirlwinds rolled up at the door, and 2 black robe masks appeared out of thin air. It was Lu Han and Hyuga Luo Ning. The identity of Anbu Ninja was also kept secret from Konoha, so until now, Sarutobi Luo Ting did not know Lu Han's true identity. What's wrong? Lu Han asked when he entered the door. He felt the atmosphere was wrong. Your eyes. Sarutobi Luo Ting immediately walked to Lu Han. He noticed the bloodshot in Lu Han's eyes. It was too obvious. I didn't sleep well. Luhan replied casually and asked again, what happened? Kurigakure messenger has just come. Sarutobi Rodan said. Kurigakure messenger. Luhan took a deep breath. Where are the people? What are you doing here? I have already let them go. They must leave within an hour of entering Uzushiogakure village. I can't stop them. Sarutobi Rodan said quickly. The so-called two armies are fighting without killing. The messenger is the bridge between the two sides, and both sides of the war also need dialogue. Without dialogue, will only result in greater losses for both sides, which is not beneficial to anyone, so no one will touch ninjas with this identity. They came up with a plan to exchange prisoners and hoped it would be carried out within half a month. Exchange of prisoners. At this time, neither side seems to have captured many prisoners. Not much, but Hyuga Haeyang was captured. Luhan was taken aback. Hyuga has been caught, Sarutobi Rodan repeated. An abnormal voice suddenly sounded from behind Luhan's side, but it was Hyuga Luoning, who was shaking violently. The eyes under the hole in the mask glared at the boss for a while, and then the circles around his eyes filled with yuhi, and the whole person was like being struck by lightning. Luhan was also stunned for a while, before turning his head and instructing, you go out first. Hyuga Luoning froze in place, motionless. Go out, Luhan shouted in a low voice. Hyuga Luoning finally moved, staggered and turned around, and then made a woo-woo sound under the mask, and ran out of the lobby. Someone. Luhan looked back and drank loudly. Whoa. Two root ninjas appeared at the door, knelt on one knee and said in unison, Lord Hengwang. Go watch her, don't let her have an accident, and forbid her to leave the Uzushiogakure village. Luhan ordered. Yes. The two root ninjas responded and disappeared at the same time. Sarutobi Luoting looked out the door with a slightly changed expression, then looked at Luhan, and asked in a low voice, is Hyuga Haeyang her relative? Sarutobi Luoting didn't know the entourage of the Hengwang girl identity, but he knew it was a Hyuga ninja, because Byakugan everyone could see it. Her father. Luhan replied in a low voice. Oh, it's her. Sarutobi Luoting knew instantly, Hyuga Haeyang's only daughter, Hyuga's branch genius, Hyuga Luoning. Such a well-known rising star, Sarutobi Rodan is naturally aware. No news from Tsunade? Luhan asked. Chapter-262-Sin. According to the previous information, Hyuga Haeyang has merged with Tsunade, Jiraiya and Orochimaru, and at this time, the news that Hyuga Haeyang has been captured. You know, he is stronger than Tsunade, and has superpower Byakugan, even he was caught. To Luhan, Hyuga Haeyang was a stranger, so even if Hyuga Haeyang died, he would at most sigh, but if Tsunade had an accident. Luhan's heart had fallen to the bottom. There is no news from Tsunade. Sarutobi Rodan shook his head. I asked the Kurigakure messenger if anyone else was captured, but he said he didn't know. Maybe he didn't want to say it, or maybe he really didn't know. After all, only a Jonin who came to contact us, I can't force him to say anything. Damn, Luhan murmured, and he was a little flustered. The meaning of Kurigakure is to use Hyuga and Haeyang for 40 prisoners. At least 10 Jonin prisoners are required. Sarutobi Rodan said again. 40. Luhan said in surprise, have we captured so many Kurigakure prisoners? No, but what they want to replace is not just the Kurigakure ninja captives. Sarutobi Rodan continued, they want to replace all the captives we have captured recently. Including the captives of the Land of Wind and Land of Thunder. And those captives whose identities cannot be determined. But the number is still not enough. If necessary, with the consent of Lord Hokage, we can bring some prisoners from Konoha to make up 40. This way of changing, Luhan was even more puzzled. Of course, the value of Hyuga Haeyang goes without saying. Although he is not as good as Tsunade, he is stronger. It is reasonable for Kurigakure to use him for 40 prisoners, at least 10 Jonin. Not to mention the lion's big mouth. But even the captives of other forces want them, which is a bit strange. It may be that they also need to make deals with other forces and need chips, but they don't have enough hands, so they come to exchange with us. Sarutobi Rodan guessed, then his voice paused, and then whispered, Captain Coldlight. Huh, Luhan felt what Sarutobi wanted to say. You shouldn't have killed that unidentified Kurigakure Jonin. Sarutobi Rodan said bluntly, if you didn't kill him, we'd have one more chip now. I don't know how many hostile Jonins are being held in the Konoha dungeon, maybe not many. If you don't make up enough numbers, it's also troublesome. Quote. Sarutobi Luoting did not mean to accuse Luhan, and it was not his turn to accuse him. In fact, as Luhan, killing a Jonin prisoner is not a big problem, but it was a coincidence, and no one would have thought that Hyuga Haeyoung in such a period after being captured. Kurigakure immediately proposed a prisoner exchange plan. It's true that I made a fool of myself. Luhan humbly admitted his mistake, then froze, his eyes straightened. Shocked. If we do not agree to this matter within 2 weeks, the Kurigakure side will execute Hyuga Haeyoung. Sarutobi Rodan added. Luhan didn't pay attention to what Sarutobi said. Change him. It's to change him. Lightning flashed across Luhan's mind, and there were bursts of thunder. What Kurigakure and they want to exchange is not many Genin, Chunin, or even Jonin captives at all. Nor is it for bargaining chips with other forces. They are in exchange for being Ghost Lamp Chuntao. They knew that Ghost Deng Chuntao was captured. Knowing that Chuntao's old hotness with ghost lights will definitely not reveal his identity. Why they couldn't wait to exchange prisoners after catching Hyuga Haeyoung. They just want to change the Ghost Lamp Chuntao. In terms of identity, the addition of several Hyuga Haeyoungs is not as important as the Ghost Lamp and Chuntao. Ghost Lantern Chuntao is the old patriarch of the Ghost Lantern clan, and the current chief elder of the Ghost Lantern clan. The father of the current patriarch of the Ghost Lantern clan, and the brother of Mizukage Ghost Lantern Wanyu. Ghost Lantern Chuntao originally came to the country of Vortex to negotiate with Uzumaki Jinghai, but was caught unexpectedly. And now, he has been killed by Luhan. Fuck, do you want to do this? I am. Luhan was in a daze, because he knew the identity of Ghost Deng Chuntao, so the more he thought about it, the more he felt that it was probably like this, and because of this. He was somewhat question yourself. Is it wrong? Is not it? If Kurigakure really wanted to exchange Ghost Lamp Chuntao, and when the prisoners were exchanged, they didn't see Ghost Lamp Chuntao among the exchanged prisoners, then would they kill Hyuga Haeyoung directly? Possible. If Kurigakure is really sure that the Ghost Lamp Chuntao is dead, they may not only kill Hyuga Haeyoung, but all the Konoha and Uzumaki captives. Kill them all. Outrage. It's been a year since he came to this world, and for the first time, Luhan has a feeling that he has caused trouble. I didn't kill Borin, but Borin died because of me. If that's the case, then it's really a sin. The reason why Luhan killed the Ghost Deng Chuntao, in the final analysis, was because of selfishness, and there was no hatred or justice at all. It seemed that a stone was suddenly pressed against his heart. Luhan suddenly felt very depressed. He thought of Hyuga Luoning. If things were as he thought, Hyuga Haeyoung would eventually die. Luhan didn't know how to face Hyuga Luoning. Although Hyuga Luoning may not know the stakes all his life, the hurdle will always be in Luhan's heart. Hengguang. Captain Hengguang. Sarutobi Rodan called out several times. Luhan, who was in a daze, lost his temper, finally came back to his senses and looked at Sarutobi Luoting. What? I have expedited this situation to Konoha, and I have to wait for Lord Hokage's reply. Sarutobi Luoting continued, what are your thoughts on Captain Hengguang? Do you want to report to Lord Hokage alone? No need. Luhan shook his head, raised his hand and waved again, turned around and walked out. I'm tired, go to rest first, and let me know if you have the latest situation. Luhan left in a hurry. Sarutobi Luoting looked at Luhan's disappearing back and frowned. He felt that the cold light was not right. When Luhan returned to his residence, he went straight to sleep with complicated thoughts. He was too tired and his mind was too chaotic. He really needed a rest, because he slept so deeply that he did not dream. I don't know how long I slept, but the sound outside the door woke Luhan up. Captain, there is news about Lord Tsunade. Might Dai's respectful voice sounded outside the door. Chapter-263-Rattling Swords. The sun at noon was very strong, and it was already in the 31 year of Konoha. It was summer, and the climate of the country of the vortex in the south was sultry. On the front steps, the tall Might Dai stood respectfully. Call. The whirlwind suddenly rolled up, and Luhan appeared out of thin air, took out the mask and put it on his face, and asked at the same time, who sent the news back. It's Captain Dogwon, he is waiting for you at the military headquarters. Might Dai said quickly. Anbu's code name, Dogwon, is exactly Anbu's number 1 squad leader, Senju Nazara. He had been in the west of the country of Vortex before, leading some Anbu ninjas to cooperate with the Independent Scout Brigade to carry out a plan to rescue the Tsunade 3. How long have I slept? It's been over a day. Well, let's go. Luhan and Might Dai disappeared in front of the door. After sleeping for more than a day, Luhan missed the opportunity to enter the subversive space, and he had to wait another 6.5 days before he could enter again. In the military hall, there were only 2 people, Senju Nazara and Sarutobi Rodan, both of whom had heavy expressions on their faces. Sarutobi Rodan was pacing back and forth in the hall, while Senju Nozori was sitting on a chair and drinking tea. Call. Luhan and Might Dai appeared out of thin air at the door. Lord Hangwang. Senju Shiwan even stood up, put down the teacup, knelt down on one knee and said solemnly, I have seen Lord Hangwang before. This is the first time he has met with Luhan since he served as vice captain. Should be formally greeted. Lu Hanlian raised his hand to Senju Shiwan, motioned Senju Shiwan to get up, then turned around and said, go out first and close the door. Yes. Might Dai respectfully obeyed and exited the lobby. After the door closed, the light in the lobby dimmed a lot for a while. What's the situation? Talk about it. Said quickly. Just yesterday morning, Jonan, a Hyuga elite who entered the mountains with Captain Haeyoung, returned to the base and was seriously injured. Senju Nobori said quickly. Luhan listened, his face became more and more ugly. 7 days ago. 9 ninjas including Hyuga Haeyoung and Tsunade encountered the 7 ninjas of the Mist Ninjas' swords during their escape. Along with the 7 ninjas of the Mist Ninjas, there was also a mysterious ninja wearing a gray robe, who was stronger than Hyuga Haeyoung. His strength was later identified by Hyuga Haeyoung and confirmed to be the assistant of Kurigakure Mizukage, Boiling Rain. Due to Boiling Yu's strength, and the 7 members of the Mist Ninja swordsmen are not incompetent, Hyuga Haeyoung made a decisive decision and ordered everyone to flee, but he himself chose to fight alone to fight for a greater chance for others to escape. However, although Hyuga Haeyoung ordered everyone to flee, the others did not leave immediately. No one wanted to give up their companions. After fighting so hard for half an hour, the Hyuga family lost 3 elites, Jonan, Tsunade, Jiraiya, and Orochimaru using forbidden technique. The 7 ninjas of the Mist Ninja with Thunder Sword and Kiba died in battle. 2 others were also injured. Both sides suffered losses, but on behalf of the Konoha forces, the losses were even greater, and the power disparity was even greater. Hyuga Haeyoung once again gave a death order to let everyone flee. Hyuga's ninjas are good at defense. As the head of the Hyuga branch, Hyuga Haeyoung, although his overall strength is not as good as Boyu, he is also very difficult to defeat. Hyuga ninja who escaped from the southwestern mountains and returned to the stronghold was named Hyuga Tiankang. According to him, before he escaped, several of the injured Tsunade escaped. He dragged Boyu, Munashi Oni, and Zhongheim, and was besieged by the 3, but he was not defeated immediately. Senju Shayuin's remarks. Luhan was silent for a long time. Tsunade is injured. And it's very likely that I got separated from Jiraiya and Orochimaru. She is only a medical ninja. Although her fighting strength is not bad, Grandmaster Taijutsu still has a gap compared with the real Taijutsu ninja. Luhan's heart is hard to calm down, he is cold-blooded, he only cares about Tsunade's life and death, the rest are just a bunch of unrelated people. You already know about the messenger of Kurigakure, right? Luhan finally spoke. Yes, Lord Rodan has already said it. Senju Nozomi nodded. Lord Hokage's sighed. Luhan looked at Sarutobi Rodan again. I haven't replied yet. Sarutobi Rodan shook his head. It's still a short time, but it's estimated that the message will be sent back in the next 2 days. So, you wait for news here. After I leave, Captain Dogwan will take full charge of Anbu's affairs here. Luhan continued, send a message to Lord Hokage and say that I will go to the southwest mountains and I will find Tsunade. Senju Nozomi's expression changed. No, Sarutobi Rodan shouted, his voice sinking again, Captain Hangwang. You cannot enter the Kurigakure-occupied area during this period, the two sides will negotiate the exchange of prisoners, you may kill Hyuga Haeyoung if you enter like this. Besides, with your power alone, not only will you not be able to save people, but you may also be trapped in it. Lord Luoting, Luhan replied, what do I want to do? I will naturally bear the consequences. No, you can't go. You have to wait for Lord Hokage's receipt. You can't be so rash. Sarutobi Rodan's voice was much higher. You have no right to stop me. Luhan said heavily. Hangwang, you will ruin the affairs of Hokage-sama. Normally, I have no right to control you, but now the situation is special. You must wait for Hokage-sama's orders. Sarutobi Rodan became stern. Luhan was silent for a while, then turned around and walked out. I have made up my mind. Call. Arrived at the door, Sarutobi cut across like a ghost and stopped in front of Luhan. With violent chakra fluctuations all over his body, he stared at Luhan's eyes, and said word by word, I'm Konoha in the country of Vortex. Commander-in-Chief of the war. Captain Hangwang, I hope you don't do anything wrong. Focus on the overall situation. The atmosphere is already tense. Luhan looked back at Sarutobi Luoting. His eyes were indifferent, he didn't speak, he raised his hand to signal. Call, 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 call. A figure named with a cold aura appeared beside Sarutobi Rodan almost at the same time, and there was a sound of whispering, and they directly pulled out the knife. The root ninja who vowed to protect Luhan's safety to the death. They don't care who Sarutobi Rodan is. Lord Luoting, please get out of the way. Luhan said in a low voice. Hangwang, what are you doing? Do you know what you are doing? Sarutobi Rodan stared with a black face. The atmosphere seemed to freeze. Chapter 0264 This is Anbu. Sarutobi Rodan is strong, very strong. He is the commander of the Konoha Scout Force, second only to the commander of the main battle legion in terms of job rank. And the scout troop is a troop that often performs dangerous tasks, so the person who can serve as the commander of the scout troop must have extremely strong strength. If there is a real comparison, his strength should be no worse than Hyuga Haeyoung. The atmosphere was suppressed to ultimate, and the air seemed to freeze. 7 root ninjas half surrounded Sarutobi Luoting, already showing murderous intent. Luhan stood in front of Sarutobi Luoting with indifferent eyes. Sarutobi Luoting looked at Luhan, and his body was full of violent breath. He stared at Luhan's eyes, took a deep breath, and suppressed his anger. Call, 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 Figures suddenly appeared in the room out of thin air. There were 12 of them, all wearing standard ninja uniforms. They were the guards of Sarutobi Rodan. Protect adults. One of them let out a low cry, and the 12 Jonins drew their weapons at the same time, forming a larger circle, enclosing Luhan, Sarutobi Luoting, and Genbu Kirin, and pointed their bright knives at Luhan. Senju Xiuan saw this situation, his face changed and changed. The situation happened too fast, which caught him by surprise, and he didn't expect that it would develop like this. He understood Sarutobi Luoting's method of blocking Hangguang, but he did not understand Sarutobi Luoting. Why use force to oppress people? Luhan raised his fingers suddenly, turned his wrist slightly, and put his hand on the handle of the knife around his waist. Hangguang. Sarutobi Luoting narrowed his eyes and shouted, "You will pay for your recklessness today." He couldn't believe that Hangguang dared to do it. Such infighting, the guilt is too great. Lord Luoting. Senju Xiuan suddenly spoke. His voice stopped again. He put his hand on the back of his waist, took out the mask he didn't usually wear in Uzushiogakure village, and slowly put it on his face. "I think you shouldn't stop Captain Hangguang. You have no right to do so." Senju Nozomi put his hand on the hilt of the knife on his waist. Wear a mask and hold a knife in one hand. Make a statement. Dagwan, you. Sarutobi Rodan looked at Senju Nozara, his face changed. It's not the first day he met Senju Nozomi. They are about the same age and have known each other for over 20 years. The Sarutobi clan and the Senju clan have always been close, so the two have an excellent personal relationship. Sarutobi Luoting never expected that Senju Nozara would support Hangguang. This is Anbu. Only loyal to Hokage, the recognized Konoha ace in the ninja world. Regardless of Senju Nozomi's relationship with Sarutobi Rodan, it is impossible for him to support Sarutobi Rodan. In Sarutobi Luoting's psychology, Senju Xiuan's weight may be much heavier than Luhan, because he does not understand cold light, but he knows Senju Xiuan. Senju Xiuan is the captain of Konoha Anbu who is resident in Uzushiogakure village. He has been operating in Uzushiogakure village for many years, and those Anbu ninjas who follow him and live in Uzushiogakure village are his die-hard loyalists. To Sarutobi Rodan, Hangguang is nothing more than an Anbu ninja who came to Uzushiogakure village with a higher position. He can mobilize Anbu ninja, but the Anbu ninja here may not take the initiative to do anything for him. For example, if Sarutobi Rodan detains Hangguang, Anbu will definitely pass the news to Hokage and do nothing else, but if Sarutobi Rodan detains Senju Nozomi, what will happen is hard to say. And now, Senju Nozomi has expressed support for Hangguang. Lord Luoting, Luhan said suddenly. Sarutobi Luoting immediately turned his eyes back to Luhan's mask. Are you going to stop me like this all the time? Huh? Hangguang, you will regret it. Don't bother Lord Rodan. Humph. Sarutobi Rodan grunted heavily, turned sideways to move out of the way, and waved his hands to the surroundings. All his 12 guards immediately put away their knives and retreated a bit. Sarutobi Rodan looks like a big and rough, but in fact he is not a reckless man, and he will never act on his temper. He knows very well that if there is a real conflict, Hangguang will be punished, and he will not feel better. Whoa! The door of the military hall was suddenly pushed open. Luhan walked out alone, and the Genbuchi Ren had disappeared. According to Luhan's instructions, he didn't want to follow a group of people wherever he went, so when he was in Uzushiogakure village, Genbuchi Ren was always there. They appear out of nowhere, and they only appear when Luhan asks them to appear. There is a courtyard outside the military tower. When Luhan walked out, Might Dai was standing under the big tree on the northwest side of the courtyard. Hyuga Luoning was also beside him. He didn't know when he came. Seeing Luhan come out, the two walked into Luhan quickly. Call. Luhan was walking with a whirlwind around him. Senju Xiuan appeared and said quickly in a low voice, Lord Hangguang, do you think about it again? I understand you are in a hurry, Tsunade is yours. But, Sarutobi Luoting said, that's right, let's not talk about whether it will be a bad thing. You alone, even if you add those ninjas, are weak. In the southwest mountain range, there are 2 legions of Kurigakure. You can not only find Tsunade like this, but also possible. An accident. Senju Xiuan just supported Luhan, that's because he is an Anbu ninja. Other than Anbu, he must agree with Luhan, but in fact, his thoughts are the same as Sarutobi Rodan. No need to say more, just send a message to Lord Hokage. Luhan replied to Senju Xiuan very disrespectfully, and quickened his pace, don't follow me. Senju Xuan stopped and watched Lu Han and the two followers come together, and then hand seal disappeared in place, sighing helplessly. He can only suggest, he can't control it. Village of Konoha, the land of fire. Bastard. Bullshit. Looking for a dead kid. The quaint room, the furious Sarutobi Hiruzen slapped the wooden table with the tea tray and smashed it. Just now, he received two pieces of information about the country of the vortex sent at the same time. One was written by Senju Nazara himself. The other is written by Sarutobi Rodan himself. In Senju Nazara's information, he directly said about Han Guang going to the southwest mountains. Sarutobi Rodan spoke harshly, saying that Han Guang was useless, negligent, willful, and reckless, and complained to Sarutobi Hiruzen, hoping to remove Han Guang. Sarutobi Hiruzen's Kiba is about to bite. Call. Hatake Sakumo appeared out of thin air in the room and took 2 steps forward. Sir, you are looking for me. Chapter 0265-emotional. Wooden table has been smashed by Sarutobi Hiruzen, and the debris is scattered everywhere. The teapot and teacup that were originally placed on it also fell to the ground and fell into pieces. The tea was spilled on the ground, and there were some on the wood. Hatake Sakumo stopped before the tree collapsed. His face changed and changed. Sarutobi Hiruzen always knew how to restrain his temper. Even if he was angry, he would not throw things, but at this time, Hatake Sakumo felt how angry Sarutobi Hiruzen was. Arrogant brat. Sarutobi Hiruzen bit Kiba and cursed again in a low voice, before probing and handing Hatake Sakumo the 2 information scrolls he had already seen. Look at it. Hatake Sakumo was a little puzzled, and didn't know what information would offend Hokage-sama so much. He first opened up Senju's information. Senju's writing was very simple and very cautious. That is, he first explained the situation of Tsunade and the others, and then said that Han Guang had gone to the Kurigakure control area to find Tsunade and a few people. Sarutobi Rodan tried to persuade, but without success. Hatake Sakumo has already frowned, and opened another scroll, and soon, a strange color appeared on his face. Information on Sarutobi Rodan. He denounced Han Guang's various crimes. The crime of dereliction of duty, saying that Han Guang arrived at Uzushiogakure village for 7 days, did not care about anything, and never participated in a war meeting. Most of the time he was in retreat and practice, and the effect he played was not even an ordinary Jonin. The crime of wrongdoing is that Han Guang arraigned a Kurigakure Jonin whose actual identity could not be confirmed, and killed the other party at will, so that Konoha lost a bargaining chip to negotiate with Kurigakure. The crime of willful arrogance naturally refers to the conflict between Lu Han and Sarutobi Luoting, and uses words such as, disregarding the overall situation, daring to act, and, not knowing the heights of the sky, to describe his temperament to be extremely bad. Hatake Sakumo already understands that the reason why Hokage-sama is so angry is obviously because of these situations written by Sarutobi Rodan, and there is also the psychological factor of, hate iron is not steel. Sarutobi Rodan is 5 years younger than Sarutobi Hiruzen. He is a younger brother who is closer than Sarutobi Hiruzen. The two can be said to have grown up together, so he trusts Sarutobi Rodan very much. Lord Hokage, Rodan's commander. It's not necessarily a lie, but it's probably an exaggeration. Hatake Sakumo said cautiously, I can clearly feel that when Rodan wrote this, he was emotional of. Hatake Sakumo has worked with Lu Han. He is very aware of what failures Lu Han has, but these problems do not disgust Hatake Sakumo, because he knows how strong Lu Han is. After all, it is a generation of evildoers, a little abnormal, but also normal. Humph. You don't need to say good things to that kid. Sarutobi Hiruzen snorted coldly. He is arrogant and willful, regardless of the overall situation, and rushed to the Kurigakure occupation area. This is not a fake. This Han Guang is indeed a little impulsive. Hatake Sakumo nodded, which cannot be denied. In the morning, Huyong came again and asked me to go to the country of Vortex, but I refused. I have promised him to do my best to ensure the life of Haeyoung. Sarutobi Hiruzen said, more and more angry. His face darkened. It's good now. Get caught by this bastard. If Hyuga Heian can't be saved, it's time. Damn, he must take responsibility for it. This. Hatake Sakumo hesitated, not knowing what to say. He hadn't felt so sad for a long time. He knew very well that Hokage didn't care about Hyuga Heian, but Hyuga Huyang. Hyuga main clan patriarch. In terms of numbers, Hyuga is the largest family in Konoha. The key is that Hyuga Huyang and Hyuga Heian are brothers. If Hyuga Heian died, or was indirectly killed by Anbu Ninja Chaos, Hyuga Huyang would definitely leave a pimple in his heart, and it can even be said to be an indelible scar. Sir, Hengwang He, Hatake Sakumo said in a slow voice, he is also for Tsunade. You should understand that he has been alone for many years, and it was Tsunade who gave him love. He should have a special affection for Tsunade. Emotional. Sarutobi Hiruzen gave a 4-character comment, but he stopped, and the anger in his heart subsided. Didn't he want to rescue Tsunade, Jiraiya, and Orochimaru, who were the direct disciples he cultivated from childhood to adulthood, just like sons and daughters? But this is war. Don't mess around. If Sarutobi Hiruzen is also emotional, he does not need anyone else to go, and he will be able to rescue the Tsunade 3 by himself, but if he does, maybe it will bring a big crisis to Konoha. How many eyes were on him, on Konoha? The war is not his business alone. If he can win by killing the quartet alone, why bother? My lord, why don't I go? Hatake Sakumo suggested cautiously. No, Sarutobi Hiruzen flatly refused. He didn't say why, no need to say it, because Hatake Sakumo knew it. The problem is that in the land of rain, the situation has begun to deteriorate. Sarutobi Hiruzen recently held several high-level meetings to discuss whether to send the main battle army to the northwest frontier to prepare for the battle. Hatake Sakumo is more useful during this period. The current country of the vortex is like a quagmire, and anyone who goes there may fall into it. Hatake Sakumo, the captain of Anbu, has extraordinary talents, and this is not just a matter of strength. Compared with the problem of the country of vortex, the country of rain is the biggest worry for Konoha. So in this situation, even if Hatake Sakumo is allowed to go out, it is still going to the land of rain. Then the Lord wants to. Hatake Sakumo said with consideration, if there is really no suitable candidate, we can also adapt to the changes without change. Han Guang is extremely capable of tasks, and has the ability to appear and disappear, so it may not necessarily be bad. Hatake Sakumo said something against his heart, because he knew that the possibility of an accident was far higher than no accident. Sarutobi Hiruzen was silent, thinking. A moment of silence. Call Danzo over here, Sarutobi Hiruzen said suddenly. Hatake Sakumo was stunned for a moment, then quickly said, let Danzo-sama go to the country of vortex. Sarutobi Hiruzen nodded heavily. Let Hokage help. Although Danzo is Hokage's assistant, he is not responsible for many affairs. Most of his energy is focused on the roots. With Sarutobi Hiruzen sitting in Konoha, letting Danzo go out has little impact. Chapter 0266-Chilling. In the western part of the country of Vortex, in the deep mountains and forests at the border with the country of Fire, Konoha Temporary Scout Base. Hyuga Tiankang, who was wrapped in gauze, made a faint sound, intermittently, next to the wooden cave where he was sitting. Hyuga Luo Ning sat sideways, had taken off his mask, his expression was cold, but his eyes were full of yuhi. Hyuga Luo Ning and Lu Han only came here today. Gen Kirin and Might Dai were accompanying him. With Lu Han's permission, Hyuga Luo Ning revealed her identity to the Independent Scout unit at this stronghold. The Independent Scouts are all Hyuga tribesmen. Miss, the Patriarch, he insisted on letting us go. We are not afraid of death. Just. Hyuga Tiankang was a little excited as he said, struggling to sit up. I understand. You obey your father's orders, that's right. Hyuga Luo Ning said quickly, pressing him back to the wooden slump in comfort. Uncle Tiankang, you don't have to blame yourself. It's all for Tsunade and other adults. They are too important. Hyuga Tiankang said intermittently, his eyes filled with sorrow. I'm just afraid. The patriarch. I'll tell you one thing. Hyuga Luo Ning hesitated and lowered her voice. Don't say it. Miss, please say, promise not to. My father was caught and he didn't die. God bless my Hyuga family. A prisoner exchange has been proposed on Kurigakur's side, and the news has been passed on to Lord Hokage. Lord Hokage will agree, definitely. The patriarch and the main clan patriarch are brothers, and Lord Hokage will definitely change the patriarch back. Yes, it must be. Hyuga Luo Ning said it with certainty, but she suddenly became uneasy again. Her eyes flashed, she suddenly got up and walked out, leaving the words, "You take a good rest." She thought of Lu Han. Lu Han was about to enter the southwest mountain range to look for Tsunade. At this time, he did so. His own danger was on the one hand, and more importantly, he might disrupt the prisoner exchange plan. If he was in the southwest, a big incident in the mountains will make Kurigakur think that Konoha has no sincerity, or that he hurts an important person in Kurigakur, which may affect Kurigakur to directly terminate the prisoner exchange program. In fact, Hyuga Luo Ning couldn't interfere with what Lu Han wanted to do. Hyuga Luo Ning's father who has been caught. She couldn't think about it with her normal heart at all. Temporary stronghold, Anbu command room. Sir, this is the intelligence summary from 7 days ago. This is yesterday. Anbu's elite Jonin codenamed Flowing Wood, stood in front of the desk and placed the small box containing the intelligence scroll on the table. Well, Lu Han made an indifferent nasal sound. Look at the information. Before he enters the southwest mountain range, he must first obtain the master's information about the southwest mountain range. In fact, the intelligence that Anbu can get is very limited, because they do not dare to go deep into the southwest mountains, and at most they can only get some peripheral intelligence. Kurigakur is fortified everywhere in the southwest mountain range. This is their second base camp in the country of Vortex. The first base camp is in the eastern coastal area. Compared with there are more ninjas and stronger strength here. The command room was silent. Lu Han opened the scrolls one by one and looked at them one by one. There is not much valuable information, but it is not absent. For example, some Kurigakur strongholds in the southwestern mountains have been detected by Anbu. A stronghold in the outskirts of the southwest mountains. Call. A whirlwind suddenly engulfed the room, and Hyuga Luo Ning appeared out of thin air. Lu Han frowned and raised his head. Thump. Hyuga Luo Ning knelt on her knees, looked at Lu Han with tears in her eyes, and shouted, "Please save my father." After saying that, she kowtowed to Lu Han. Lu Han held the scroll's hand for a moment, blinked, and then put the scroll down and said, "Get up and talk." He seemed calm. "Lord Hengguang, please." Hyuga Luo Ning raised her body, but she was still kneeling. She looked helpless and her face was full of tears. "I can't do it," Lu Han said bluntly, squinting slightly. "You should understand that it's not my problem to save Hyuga Haeyang or not. Lord Hokage will handle it." But what? "But, you will enter the southwest mountains, and then you will definitely." With Kurigakur. Lu Han suddenly understood. Sarutobi Luo Ting stopped Lu Han because of this at the time, but now, Hyuga Luo Ning can't say it directly, but the meaning is the same. She also thinks that Lu Han will do bad things after entering the southwest mountains. "Someone!" Lu Han suddenly shouted. Click. The door opened, and Anbu Elite Jonin, Flowing Wood, probed into the room and said respectfully, "Sir. Find someone to look after her." Lu Han pointed at Hyuga Luo Ning. "Before I return from the enemy-occupied area, she is forbidden to leave here." "Yes." Liamu took the lead and glanced at Hyuga Luo Ning. "Sir," Hyuga Luo Ning exclaimed, looking at Lu Han with incredible eyes. "No need to say more." Lu Han got up. "Sir, you can't do this. You can't. Your lord. Cold light. You bastard. Bastard. Hyuga Luo Ning became more and more excited, and in her screams, Luhan had jumped up and disappeared into the room. Hyuga Luo Ning's request not only did not change Luhan's mind, but Luhan prevented her from messing around and restricted her freedom. Chilling. At noon that day, Luhan officially set off for the southwest mountainous area with his people, with a total of 8 people, Might Dai, and Genbu Kirin. Time passed quickly, in a blink of an eye, 4 days later. Dusk. Hokage assisted Danzo to visit the temporary scout base in the south of the country of Vortex. He brought Hokage Sarutobi Hirazen's order and officially became the commander-in-chief of the war of the country of Vortex. After reaching the stronghold, Danzo immediately listened to the report of Anbu and the independent scout unit. He was very thoughtful and did not show any strange expression when he listened to the report, neither happy nor angry. Debriefing continued into the evening, after which Danzo returned to the lounge. The early morning, Danzo had been asleep for a long time. Sudden. Danzo, who was sleeping, suddenly opened his eyes, and horror flashed in his eyes. Just a moment ago. He lost his sense of Luhan's position. He couldn't feel the traceless lock spell on Luhan's body. He's dead. Danzo was a little confused. Chapter-261-reverse. Danzo came to the country of the Vortex alone, without any followers. He didn't need it. Konoha ninjas in the country of Vortex, he doesn't need to bring more manpower, and in terms of his strength, he doesn't need escorts. Danzo has trained the root ninjas known as humanoid weapons, and the root ninjas are extremely capable of performing tasks independently. Strong, and so is Danzo. Only one with similar strength to Danzo is Sen Luo, who is a lunatic. He is currently in the stage of the disease and is still undergoing treatment, so Danzo did not bring anyone here. It is a burden. According to Sarutobi Hirazen's orders, his tasks are 2, the first is to find the cold light, and the second is to facilitate the exchange of prisoners between Konoha and Kurigakure. It's easy for Danzo. Sarutobi Hirazen is unimaginably simple. No one knew that Luhan had a spell on his body that Danzo could sense and control. Danzo could sense Luhan's specific location. It was easy to find someone, and it was easy to bring him out from the southwest mountains. With Danzo's strength, even if he faced the 7 ninja blades of mist alone, he wouldn't necessarily lose. So Danzo wasn't in a hurry. He didn't expect that on the first night he just arrived in the country of Vortex, he lost his sense of cold light. He's dead. Or, sense 1,000 miles. Danzo's eyes widened, his face full of unbelievable expressions. He couldn't imagine that the new generation of evildoers in Konoha Anbu once stirred up the wind in the land of water. Why did pervert, who didn't die in the rain for months, died? Sensing thousands of miles. Obviously, the former is more likely. When a person dies, the mother curse will disappear, and Danzo will not be able to feel it. If the technique of the no-trace lock is cultivated to the highest level, it can be sensed for thousands of miles, and then the mother curse can be eliminated and reconstructed at any time. Ability. It's been less than a month since he practiced the no-trace lock technique. It's impossible for him to cultivate to the same level as me. Reason. He doesn't know my plans for him. Dead. He's dead. Danzo got emotional. Plans don't always keep up with changes. He has changed his strategy towards Han, from killing Han to winning Han and conquering Han. Use it for yourself. But didn't expect. Dead. Death is fine. He can't help me, nor can Sarutobi Hirazen. His death is not my responsibility. The result of his own impulsiveness. Konoha's hatred of Kurigakure. But, could someone help him get rid of the mother curse? Who has this ability? What is he? This night, Danzo didn't sleep well. He was half asleep and half awake all the time. He was thinking all the time. Even in his sleep, he dreamed of Han and thought about Han. In the southwest mountain range of the country of Vortex, in the deep mountains and old forests. The full moon hung high in the sky, covering the forest with a pale yellow veil. Just after the early morning, Might Dai was guarding the cave covered by vines and weeds, and had already fallen asleep for a long time. Jen Kieran was scattered on the nearby trees. Behind the stone, 2 people were watching the night, and the others were already asleep. In the dark cave, Luhan's body, who was sitting against the wall, was suddenly illusory and returned to normal. He has come to the country of Vortex. Luhan opened his eyes, a strange look flashed on his face. Just now, he spent 60 ingots in the subversive space to exchange 3 scrolls of the untraceable lock technique, raising the untraceable lock technique to LV7. This is the level that breaks the upper limit of this world. Luhan's invisible lock technique has increased the sensing range to 2,000 miles, and has completed the reversal manipulation. He blocked Danzo's induction to him, and switched to induction manipulation of the traceless lock mother spell on Danzo's body. At this time, he could sense Danzo's location, which was in the temporary scout base of Konoha at the border between the Kingdom of Vortex and the Kingdom of Fire. It was Sarutobi Hiruzen who asked him to come here. He couldn't have come here without permission. In such a critical period, it can only be ordered by Sarutobi Hiruzen. Am I in trouble again? Sarutobi Hiruzen reacted so much that even Hokage's assistant was dispatched. Quote. Thoughts. He doesn't know whether Danzo's coming to the country of Vortex is good or bad, because he has just reversed the control, and he can't affect Danzo's thoughts at all. Will Danzo find a chance to kill the killer? He couldn't be sure what Danzo was thinking. Has he lost touch with me? Will he think I'm dead? If so, will he enter the Southwest Mountains to find me? What a hassle. Early in the morning, the sun is rising, and the humidity in the Southwest Mountains is heavy. On the towering tree in front of the cave, the Root Kirin and Might Dai gathered around Luhan. My lord, if we continue to look like headless flies, I'm afraid. Might Dai rarely gave advice. After being with Luhan for so long, he also understood Luhan's temperament, and he was not so afraid. Then tell me how to find it. Luhan asked, looking down at the map. Shit. Might Dai was at a loss for words. He couldn't say it. He was a pure fighting taijutsu ninja and didn't understand strategy. Luhan put away the map, glanced at Might Dai, opened the small map and glanced at it again, and determined that there was no one else within a 10-kilometer radius. Follow me, you will find it. Luhan dropped the words and jumped out first. Luhan is confident to find Tsunade. It's just a matter of time, as long as Tsunade is still alive and not caught. The only trouble is that there are Kurigakure ninjas and flying ninja patrolling everywhere in the southwestern mountains, and Luhan has to avoid them. Morning. Luhan, who was leading the way, suddenly frowned. He felt that Danzo had left the temporary stronghold and headed for the southwest mountains. Luhan couldn't help but glanced at the Root Chiren who was following around. They were all from Danzo. 3 days later. The Kurigakure-occupied area, in the southeastern mountainous area, is surrounded by mountains and forests. Stop. Luhan suddenly raised his hand and drank in a low voice, while Jen Kieran jumped and gathered in a flash, guarding Luhan around. Sir. Might Dai, who was behind Luhan's side, said. Luhan, who was driving the widest range of insight map, did not respond, and stared at the large number of Yuhi points that appeared on the northern edge of the insight map. There should be more than 20, and one of them was a big Yuhi point. Great Yuhi name. The 7 Ninja Swordsmen of Mist Level 50 Gold Boss Munashi Oni 7. Luhan's expression changed again. The southern edge of the insight map suddenly burst into a blue dot. Teammate Blue. Own people. Chapter-261-280 To fight or not to fight. At this time of war, Luhan brought people into the southwestern mountains occupied by Kurigakure. What he was looking for was not only Tsunade, but also Jiraiya, Orochimaru, and Hyuga Ninja. Luhan will definitely bring them when they meet them, so according to the rules, if a blue dot appears on the insight map, it is either one of Tsunade or Hyuga Ninja. Munashi Onichi and others are 5 kilometers north, and teammate Blue Dot is 5 kilometers south. Sir. Yes. Might Dai couldn't help but speak again. After Lu Hanrang stopped, he didn't speak, as if he was thinking or feeling something. Lu Han was looking at the insight map. Total of 27 Yuhi points in the north. The specification is a squadron, and the captain is Munashi Oni 7. Lu Han couldn't be sure whether the 7 members of the Ninja Blade of the Mist were all among them, because the 7 members of the Ninja Blade of the Mist did not always act together. According to the type of task, they would also be separated. For example, when Lu Han was in the country of water at that time, I only met the people of Ringo and Ma Ankang. But even if there are not all 7 people, there are only 2. Since Munashi Guichi leads the team, I am afraid that the ninjas he leads must have at least a few elite Jonins, followed by a lot of Jonins. Lu Han maintained the insight map and observed. Munashi and other Kurigakure ninjas seemed to be passing by here, and they didn't find Lu Han and others, but the blue dot had stopped, and I don't know why. Sneak, go to the south. Lu Han shouted, turned and jumped south. Every half a kilometer, Lu Han would instantly open the map to see the situation. The blue dot that stopped for a while moved when Lu Han opened the insight map for the 4th time, and went straight to Lu Han's direction. Huge tree canopies are placed next to each other, blocking the sky and blocking the sunlight, and the light in the mountains and forests is dim. Lu Han led the people forward rapidly. After moving 3 kilometers, with Lu Han's gesture, everyone stopped again, and Jen Kiran once again formed a guard formation. Whoa! The bushes in front of him swayed, and a figure with a pale face covered in dried blood jumped out of the bushes. He was about 40 years old, of medium build, and looked injured. He knelt directly on one knee and said, "Senior Guard of the Independent Scout Force, Hyuga Soyang meets Your Excellency." Hyuga Ninja. The reason why he moved to Lu Han and the others just now was because he saw it with Byakugan. Saw the costumes and saw everyone's faces in perspective. He doesn't know Lu Han. The name of Han is widely spread in Konoha, but he hasn't seen much. However, he knows Anbu's outfit. The reason why he didn't doubt the identities of Lu Han and the other 9 people, or that they were pretending to be Kurigakure, was because of Might Dai. Eternal Genin Might Dai. Hyuga Zhaoyang saw Might Dai's face and recognized it. Except for Might Dai, he doesn't know the faces of the other 8 people, but Might Dai is enough. Let him know that he is the real one. Deputy Captain Anbu, Han Guang. Lu Han said hoarsely, and walked to Hyuga Zhaoyang's side. Vice Captain. Hyuga Zhaoyang was taken aback for a moment. He didn't know if Anbu really had the position of Vice Captain. He was second only to the captain, but isn't he too young? How's the injury? Master Wei, maybe. I can't fight, I can barely hurry. Any news about anyone else? The Lord is referring to Tsunade. Have you ever met after you fought Boiling Rain? No. Yeah. Lu Han nodded and turned his head to ask, who of you understands medical ninjutsu? This subordinate understands, but it is relatively low level. The root ninja named Sacred River stepped forward and said coldly. Okay, show him. Lu Han tilted his head and said. Shengchuan gave Hyuga Zhaoyang a very simple treatment. Hyuga Zhaoyang still has some traumas that have not healed, and the infection tends to worsen. The therapeutic properties in Shengchuan have been fully recovered. He can only do this, and cannot heal Hyuga Zhaoyang's real injury. Lu Han took out his full set of spare underwear from the space backpack and threw it to Hyuga Zhaoyang, and asked the root ninja and Hyuga Zhaoyang, who knew Sweden water style, to wash and change clothes in a nearby bush. It's not that Lu Han is so considerate of his subordinates, but the bloody aura on his body will increase the possibility of exposure. Hyuga Zhaoyang, who was dressed in a brand new ninja suit, appeared in front of Lu Han. Thank you, sir. Hyuga Zhaoyang, whose face was pale, knelt down on one knee. Get up. Lu Han raised his hand, then turned his head to look north, and opened the insight map again. More than 20 Kurigakure ninjas including Munashi Oni 7 reappeared in the insight map, still north. They just moved from north to south, and they didn't move very fast. If Lu Han took someone to hide at this time, it wouldn't be long before Munashi Guichi and others would pass by here. Normally, Lu Han should take someone to escape, but he hesitated. Sir, over there. Seeing Lu Han looking north, Hyuga Zhaoyang seemed to have found something, so he couldn't help but lowered his voice and said, "Would you like my subordinates to take a look?" Huh, right. Lu Han suddenly reacted, glanced at Hyuga Zhaoyang and said, "How far can your Byakugan see?" 5 to 6 kilometers. Enough. That's it. 4 kilometers away, there are 27 people. I need to identify their faces. Lu Han pointed north. 27. Hyuga Zhaoyang was surprised. He didn't understand why Lord Hengguang could so accurately judge the situation of people 4 kilometers away. Could it be some kind of secret technique? Thinking to himself, Hyuga Zhaoyang's hands were not ambiguous, so he immediately closed his hands, wrinkled his eyes, and stared at the north. The gray and white world full of lines quickly zoomed in. "My lord," Hyuga Zhaoyang suddenly exclaimed in a low voice, "the 7 ninja swordsmen of the mist. Munashi Ghost 7, they are all the members of the 7 ninja swordsmen there. Except for Munashi Onigiri. Also, that person's subordinates don't know the name, he is the new owner of Double Sword and Flounder. I saw him in the last battle." Hyuga Zhaoyang paused and confirmed again, "There are only 2 of them, none of the others are members of the 7 of Mist ninja swordsmen." "Only 2, Lu Han murmured, struggling inwardly. "War, still not fighting. Munashi Oni 7 who has reached level 50 gold boss. Lu Han really wanted to kill him. That was the first kill. Chapter 0269_Cold Light Love. In fact, it's not just about the first kill. Nor is it a matter of building merit. These are next. More importantly, it will have an impact. As the leader of the 7-man squad of the Mist Ninja Swordsmen, his strength and ability are beyond doubt. Even if he faces Tsunade alone, he can't win, but he may escape. Compared with the 7th, Tsunade's strength is no worse than him, but the experience is far worse. Once Munashi Oni 7 dies here, it is bound to be a sensation in Kurigakure. I'm afraid it's even more sensational than when the Blood Mist was killed. After all, the Blood Mist is old and its strength is not as good as Munashi Ghost 7. At that time, Lu Han will take the initiative to reveal the trace again, revealing the name of Hengguang, and Kurigakure will definitely search for him like crazy. New hatred and old hatred count together. The pressure will all come to Lu Han. At that time, as long as Tsunade was alive, she would be able to escape from the southwest mountains, and it would be smooth, not only for her, but also for Orochimaru, Jiraiya, and others. Lu Han wanted to make himself the focus to give others a better chance of survival. This is a great way to save lives. However, in fact, Lu Han doesn't think he will lose to Munashi Ghost 7. Lu Han is not Lu Han who was in the Land of Water. He already has stronger strength and has more comprehensive abilities than Munashi Ghost 7. Not as experienced as Munashi Oni 7. If it was just the 2 of them, Lu Han would be very willing to fight Munashi Ghost Ki. But that's not the case now. Not only Munashi Onishi, but also the new owner of the Double Sword Flounder, and more than 24 Kurigakure ninjas. There were only 10 people on Lu Han's side, but it could be counted as 9 people. Hyuga Zhaoyang couldn't fight. Thinking about it, Lu Han turned his head and swept towards Genkiren. Their strength is the key, they are strong enough. This battle can be fought. Ask you a question. Lu Han looked at the root ninja codenamed Zero Snake. With the strength of the 7 of you, may you have beaten Jiraiya. Lu Han needs a comparison. It is easiest to compare with his own people. Jiraiya's strength is not a secret. Can kill. Zero Snake responded coldly, paused and said, but we will also have casualties. How many casualties? About half. Understood. Lu Han nodded, having a general understanding of Genchiren's strength. They should all be elite Jonin, or the average strength can reach elite Jonin, and since it is only half of the loss to kill Jiraiya, according to the style of the root ninja, they may need to take suicidal attacks to kill Jiraiya, in exchange for life. This kind of strength, is enough. It's impossible for Luhan to let Gen Kirin face the Munashi Ghost 7 whose strength is similar to Jiraiya. If they are to kill other people, as Munashi Ghost 7, it is impossible for him to bring the elite Jonin, and it is estimated that the Mizukage if you fight in person, you will have this configuration around you. Kinglin obeys, Luhan said suddenly, and he made a decision. Sir. Might Dai bowed his head respectfully. Blue was his Anbu code. I order you to go with Hyuga Zhaoyang, and immediately go to the hideout where we stayed last night. Luhan ordered repeatedly, if I can't return before dark, you will escort Hyuga Zhaoyang to evacuate. Yes, my lord. Might Dai took the lead first, then lowered his voice and said urgently, Lord Hengguang, do you want to? Vengeance. Luhan looked to the north. Vengeance for the ninjas that Konoha broke in this mountain range. Vengeance for the captured Heian-sama. Today, either Munashi Ghost 7 will die, or I will die. Luhan has already figured it out, battle. He believed that Might Dai could take good care of Hyuga Zhaoyang. Hyuga Zhaoyang had Byakugan, and it would be easy to escape. At this time, Might Dai, who had been able to barely open 6 gates of the 8 inner gates, would be in the situation of opening 5 gates. In a short period of time, he has a speed that cannot catch up with the speed-type blinking technique. He cooperates with Hyuga Zhaoyang, a reconnaissance and anti-reconnaissance, and a run at a critical moment. It is not a problem to leave the southwest mountains. Might Dai's mission experience and mission thinking are not good, but Hyuga Zhaoyang is different. As Hyuga Heiang's guard, Hyuga Zhaoyang's ability is first class in the entire Hyuga family. My lord, this, you, Might Dai yelled urgently. Lord Hengguang. Hyuga Zhaoyang's whole body was shaken, and he looked at Luhan with wide eyes. He's the patriarch. He's not dead. Well, I was just captured. Luhan responded and glanced at Might Dai again. You don't need to say more, follow my orders. Looking at Gen Kirin again, let's go. Call, call, call. Luhan and Gen Kirin disappeared under the tree. Might Dai half opened his mouth, blinked blankly, and finally sighed. Lord Hengguang likes to die, Might Dai knows it. The breeze caressed, and the fallen leaves fluttered in the forest, but it couldn't blow away the sultry heat. It is the country of the vortex in the midsummer that the temperature is extremely high. Even in the forest, it is difficult to feel cool during the day. Call. On the blue stone in the forest, a figure suddenly appeared. This tall and thin middle-aged man was carrying an exaggerated sword. His expression was indifferent, and his whole body was filled with a cold breath. Ghost 7. Call, 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 call. More than 20 figures appeared nearby. Some of them also stood on the bluestone, standing beside Munashi Ghost 7, others gathered around the bluestone, and some were standing on the trees. Sir, go another 120 kilometers to the south, and you will arrive at the search area in charge of Mr. Zhongheim. Beside Munashi Onishi, a white-faced middle-aged ninja of about 35 years old said. He was looking at the map. Didn't you tell her to go south again? Munashi Kijichi frowned, his eyes swept to the white-faced ninja. Yes, I told her. White-faced ninja Lean explained, but Mr. Zhongheim seems to have obtained some information, so she insists on searching there and refuses to change the search area. Humph. Munashi Guichi snorted coldly, and the corners of his mouth evoked a contemptuous arc. He knew that Zhongheim wanted to be greedy for power and not let go of any clues. It was not wrong to do so, but it was a waste of time to care too much about some small issues. It's foggy, and it's very sudden. Thick white mist gushed out from the dense forest in the south, and quickly approached Munashi Kiichi and the others. Alert! Munashi Guichi suddenly shouted in a low voice. The fog came very fast, and before Munashi's voice fell, more than 20 people in Kurigakure were already shrouded. Chapter-270-I. Konoha, cold light. It's ninjutsu. Be careful. The thick fog has completely shrouded the surrounding area, and Munashi Guichi's low drink resounded in the fog, followed by strong chakra fluctuations, and the wind blew up. Futon, wind style. Munashi Guichi launched a ninjutsu, and blew several small air currents around, and the small air currents spread rapidly, and the strong wind blew away a lot of thick fog, but when the wind dissipated, the fog surged again, and soon again they folded into one piece and enveloped Munashi and the others. Is it a modification of the Kurigakur technique? Who is it? Didn't feel the chakra fluctuations. Spread first. There was a loud noise in the thick fog. Munashi Guichi frowned tightly, still standing on the bluestone, highly vigilant. Suddenly, his pupils searched fiercely, and the bright Yuhi color quickly approached him. He jumped up in an instant, and at the same time issued a shrill cry, "Hide! Get out of the thick fog!" The technique of blood mist. It is the technique of blood mist. Who is it? Who else knows the technique of blood mist? Munashi Guichi roared inwardly. Boom! Rumble rumble! The blood color erupted into flames, and the roar of thunder shook the mountains and forests. The dazzling fire devoured at least 100 meters in a radius. The terrifying high temperature destroyed the trees and melted the soil and sand. Everything came suddenly. Looking down from the sky, this piece has become a sea of fire. At the same time as the flames erupted, in the fog-shrouded area, more than 10 different chakra fluctuations appeared almost indiscriminately. The one who followed Munashi on the mission together, the weakest one was Jonin. They are not easily killed. The water waves rushed up in the flames and were evaporated by the flames. Munashi Guichi, who had jumped to a height of 100 meters, looked frightened and angry. He avoided the flames, but he was also afraid after bursts. His eyes were fixed on the bottom. Suddenly turned around, turned into a white smoke, and disappeared into the air. The explosion of the flame lasted for more than 10 seconds. All the fog was evaporated, the flame also dissipated because the supply of chakra was lost, and the ninjutsu flame disappeared, but the flame spread to the edge of the range, and some big trees were ignited. There is still an open flame. There are open flames around the edges, and within this circle of open flames, there is an extra open space, clean, including stones, everything is burned to ashes. The power of S-class forbidden technique. Really scary. In fact, this is not the real burning power of the blood mist technique. You must know that even the sea-level Kaiden, fire-style, ninjutsu grand fireball can easily melt the rock and burn the ground into a big pit. The blood mist technique is even more powerful. It can be done easily, and the blood mist technique that was just displayed did not erupt with a burning power stronger than that of the grand fireball, but only spread to a larger area. The real blood mist technique is a technique of mass attack, but it can attack a range of 20 or 30 meters around the caster at most. The higher the density of the blood-colored mist, the greater the power of the explosion. And Luhan used the white fog as a medium to make the blood fog spread out in a wider range, and the attack range was wider. Technique in this situation is very difficult to kill powerful ninjas, and even Jonin can save his life by reacting in time, not to mention the elite Jonin, or Munashi Ghost 7, but Luhan still did it, this way using the blood fog technique. He just wanted to clean up the mobs. Call. In the scorching open space, a thin figure wearing a black robe and a mask appeared out of thin air, holding the sword of astonishment. His indifferent eyes swept around, and the violent chakra continued to rise on him. Luhan took the initiative to show up. Whoa! Meters in front of Luhan, a tall and thin figure appeared together with the rising white smoke. It was Munashi Ghost 7. Munashi Guichi stared at Luhan, with anger and doubt in his eyes, which filled the coldness even more. Click, bang, whoa! There were 3 ground cracks around the open space, and all of them were Kurigakur ninjas bursting out of the ground. At the same time, in the forest on the north and south sides, there were also Kurigakur ninjas rushing out. A total of 24 Kurigakur ninjas appeared in the scorching open space one after another, forming a large encirclement surrounded Luhan in the middle. There are only 24 people left. The blood fog technique just broke out, killing only 3 people, 3 Jonin. But it also left 6 Kurigakur Jonin seriously injured, 8 Kurigakur Jonin slightly injured, and 1 elite Jonin also slightly injured. Luhan's emotionless eyes slowly glanced around, and his eyes paused on the white-faced middle-aged ninja who appeared next to Munashi Guichi. The 7 ninja swordsmen of the mist, level 50 white-silver boss, Ghost Lantern Dongying. Double knife and flounder. It can be seen that this guy's previous status is far inferior to that of Ma Ankang. Although he is slightly stronger than Ma Ankang, he is already in his 30s and has little growth potential. Total of 24 ninjas. Munashi Ghost 7 and Ghost Lantern Dongying are both super elites, and there are also 5 elite Jonins, followed by all Jonins. Who are you? Why do you use the blood fog technique? Munashi Guichi stared at Lu Han. His voice was cold. He had already taken down the beheading sword hanging behind his back, and the horizontal sword was in front of him. You should know me, although we haven't officially met before. Lu Han said indifferently. Answer my question. Don't be pretentious. Munashi shouted angrily. Kurigakure ninjas surrounding them all moved their positions at short distances. They were changing, and the optimal surrounding formation was taking shape. Ha 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 ha. Lu Han laughed wildly, as if he had encountered something very interesting. Ha ha ha. Well, it seems that you don't recognize who I am. I tell you, listen, stand firm, don't be frightened. Lu Han pretended to be crazy, laughing. The voice gradually subsided, staring at Munashi Guichi's eyes. Me. Konoha. Cold light. What? Cold light. Cold light. A cry of exclamation, and even Munashi Guichi was shocked. Hangguang. Good. Munashi gnashed Kiba's teeth in 7 instants. Looks like you've come to court death for a few days. Humph. It's not certain who will die. Lu Leng sneered. Kill him for me. Munashi shouted. Do it. Chapter 0271_dead again. At the moment Munashi Oni gave the order, all the Kurigakure ninjas moved. Including Munashi Guichi himself, but Lu Han didn't move. It was also at this moment that 7 chakra fluctuations appeared around at the same time, and 7 icy figures rushed into the open space. Cut. Poochie. Poochie. The blood splashes, the blood spreads. Gorgeous beheading. Genchi Ren did not miss. Lu Han, who took the initiative to expose, created an excellent opportunity for them to attack. They are all elite Jonin. More importantly, they attacked wounded Kurigakure ninjas. Under various factors, if they miss again, they will not be considered killing machines. What? Munashi Guichi's face changed greatly. The steps he just raised stopped again, and he turned his head to look around. Everything happened so fast that Munashi didn't have time to think. The moment Munashi Guichi turned his head, Lu Han moved. Shadow flash. Body like a ghost, Lu Han appeared like the wind in front of the ghost lamp Dongying, and the sword of Jinghong slashed in anger. Ghost lantern Dongying reacts very fast. The 2 knives staggered out, blocking the blade of Jinghong. Before it could be stopped, Lu Han disappeared again in front of Ghost Lamp Dongying, and appeared behind Ghost Lamp Dongying in an instant, and fired again. Looking for death, Ghost Lamp Dongying shouted. His figure was illusory for a moment. Lu Han's knife slashed in the air. Ghost Lamp Dongying moved 3 feet away. Some kind of instant body technique. After he completed the instant body, he opened his mouth and spat out water and charged towards Lu Han. The instant body technique has been used up. I don't believe you can dodge twice in a row. Thoughts flashed through Lu Han's mind like lightning. At the same time, a figure rushed to the side of Ghost Lantern Dongying, and the beheading sword made a thunderous whistling sound and swept towards Lu Han's neck. Munashi Oni 7 has arrived. He was just shocked by the sudden appearance of Genchi Ren, and after a short delay, he had already reacted. In his opinion, no amount of loss is worth it, even if everyone else is dead, as long as he can kill Han Guang, it is a great credit. So instead of attacking Genchi Ren, he joined Lu Han and Ghost Lamp Dongying's battle instead. The terrifying water flow hit Lu Han. On the other side, the knife shines like electricity. God is helping me, it's really. Lu Han sighed in his heart, and he twisted his wrist, and the blade of astonishment stabbed in front of him. At this moment, the extremely ferocious chakra fluctuations emanated from the blade of Jinghong, and the blue lightning ball appeared, which swelled extremely hugely in an instant, and the net-shaped lightning swept away first. Hide! Damn! Ghost Lantern Dongying and Munashi Oni 7 screamed piercingly at almost the same time. Jinghong Peerless! The violent thunder and lightning broke out completely, and the huge thunderball charged forward with the atmosphere of destroying the sky and the earth. At this moment, time seemed to stop, and the thunderlight that was so bright as the ultimate brought darkness instead, so that people could not see anything. There was no sound, even, as if all 5 senses were blocked. Boom! Rumble boom! Jinghong Peerless rushed forward 500 meters. Destroyed the forest directly out of a straight passage. Immediately, the thunderball exploded. Thunder during the day. Trees dozens of meters high were destroyed in the impact of lightning, torn into pieces, and burned to ashes. Compared with the time when Luhan released Jinghong Peerless at sea, the Jinghong Peerless release this time seems to be much worse in terms of attack distance and power, but it is not the case. The forest environment is completely different from the marine environment. Without the slightest obstacle, the power of Jinghong Peerless will be reflected to the greatest extent, and in this forest, many obstacles will consume the power of this blow, so it appears to be much less powerful. More than 10 pieces of falling objects swirled in the air, turned into streamers, and flew into Luhan's body. The 7 ninja swordsmen of the mist, Ghost Lantern Dongying, die. Dead without a corpse. The country of Vortex, in the deepest part of the southwest mountain range, in the depression between the 2 peaks, Kurigakure is stationed at the base camp of the army of the country of Vortex. This is a camp built according to the terrain of the mountain. Many barracks are built on trees, and some are also built on the mountain walls. Many caves have also been excavated in the mountains on both sides. In the core area of the camp, there are several rock piles. Up tower. It was daytime. Looking down from the sky, you could see a large number of Kurigakure ninjas coming and going in the camp, rushing about. There is also a parade of Asuka ninjas in the sky. There are countless bright and dark posts in this camp, which can be said to be heavily guarded. The dimly lit room was silent. Boiling Rain sits cross-legged on the futon under the window, silently. He always does this. He is used to thinking alone, accustomed to researching and developing secret techniques and forbidden techniques by himself. In Kurigakure, he is a well-deserved outlier, but has a very high prestige. Boiling Yu suddenly opened his eyes. A look of surprise flashed in his eyes. He died again. Dead again. He feels it. Knife Flounder is dead again. Since the last time the people of Ringo and Ma Ankang died in the Beihai of the Land of Water, Boiling Yu looked for an opportunity and successively added a special curse to the 7 special ninja swords. The 7 members of the Mist Ninja Sword were able to channel their respective ninja swords and established a contract with the ninja sword of their respective masters, so as long as they died, the contractual connection would be broken. The curse imprinted by Boiling Rain can sense whether the contract connection on the ninja knife exists. If the connection is broken, it means that the owner of the knife is dead. Spiritual. Evil chakra waves rippled in the room, and immediately, the double Knife Flounder appeared in front of Boiling Yu out of thin air. Boiling Yu took the double Knife Flounder into his hand, and chakra probed into it while squinting to observe. Thunder. Raiden Thunder-style chakra, yet to disperse, was attacked by Raiden Thunder-style ninjutsu. After death, these 2 knives also carry Raiden Thunder-style chakras that are not scattered. So similar. So. Is that you? Is it you? Boiling Yu stood up suddenly. A savage expression flashed across his face, and a frantic killing intent flashed in his eyes. Cold light. It's you. Call. Boiling Rain disappeared into the room. Shortly after. In the northern forest of the Kurigakure camp, the gray-robed figure ran fast, heading straight for the search area that Munashi Guichi and Gillen Dongying were in charge of. Chapter-262-Terror exists. In the forest. With the death of Ghost Lantern Dongying, Luhan's hanging heart finally calmed down. Luhan just wanted to use Jinghong Peerless first to kill the Ghost Lamp Dongying. Ghost Lantern Dongying's instant body instant technique was consumed by Lu Hengxian. He was not stronger than the original Ringo Rahei, but he was more vigilant than the Ringo Rahei at that time, but he could not escape death in the end. This was a strategy that Lu Han had thought of before. The 2 members of the 7 ninja swordsmen of the mist had to kill one first, otherwise there would be no chance of winning this battle. He succeeded. And Munashi Ghost 7, but escaped Jinghong Peerless attack. The pungent, anxious breath wafted in the wind. The thunderball that erupted 500 meters away created a huge pit in the forest. When the dazzling light dissipated, the forest that was first burned and then struck by lightning was devastated. Lu Han stood on a tree that fell across the forest, his eyes swept forward. Everyone chose to avoid the moment the thunderball exploded, trying to stay away from the location where the thunderball exploded, so everyone's position changed at this time. There are several more Jonin corpses on the ground, and they were all killed by lightning. Was too chaotic just now. The Kurigakure ninjas had taken the initiative, but the formation was in chaos due to Jen Chinan's sudden attack. Then Lu Han released Jinghong Peerless. Mesh lightning strikes to death. People are fragile, and no matter how powerful a ninja is, it is impossible to resist the attack of chakra lightning without defense. Not to mention, the few Jonins who were killed by lightning have been burned by the technique of blood mist before. Injury. Not counting Munashi Ghost 7, there are still 12 people left, 5 of them are elite Jonin, they. Not necessarily stronger than Genbu 7 endurance. Lu Han glanced around and thought to himself. The 27 Kurigakure ninjas, the weakest was Jonin, who had already been killed by Lu Han in a very short period of time. Terrible record. But this is not Lu Han's true strength. He is not so strong. If the blood mist technique is used by others, it can kill people, but it will also hurt himself. Lu Han is a subversive and doesn't care. It can't be regarded as the strength of a ninja. However, Lu Han doesn't care about the way to win the battle, he wants to win. Just win. Enough. Munashi Ghost 7, who escaped the Jinghong Peerless attack, appeared on a tree 200 meters away. He didn't seem to be injured, but he was a little embarrassed, and his clothes had been torn apart. This guy. Damn. Bastard. Munashi Guichi looked at Lu Han from afar, his face full of anger, but fear filled his heart. So close. Really dangerous. Almost didn't dodge the Thunderball's attack. The ruined forest, 12 Kurigakure ninjas are still alive, some standing on rubble piles, some standing high in trees, and others squatting on fallen trees. On the body, they did not get together, but they all turned their attention to Lu Han in unison. Frightened. Be afraid. Anger. Hate. All kinds of eyes, all kinds of expressions, reflecting their inner restlessness. This is the cold light. Konoha cold light. In the Kurigakure Jonin, it is said that he was only 2 or 3 years old. Call, 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 call. 7 whirlwinds rolled up behind Lu Han. General Kirin showed up, and they were not injured because Lu Han had told them the plan before, and they knew that unless Lu Han made a mistake, they would not make a mistake. The wind caressed, rolled the fallen leaves, and swept through the forest with a strong bloody smell and a pungent scorching aura. 8 ninjas wearing black robes and masks gathered together, the same eyes, the same breath, the hem of their clothes trembled in the wind. A murderous aura, bloody knife, destroyed forest, they all speak of their terrifying and trembling power. This is Konoha Anbu. There was an eerie silence in the ruined forest. Neither of the two sides immediately took the initiative to attack each other. Are waiting for orders. Lu Han's order, Munashi Ghost 7's order. Whoa, Lu Han suddenly moved. With a flick of his wrist, the blade of astonishment disappeared out of thin air, and then he pulled his arm horizontally, and the exaggerated sickle was pulled out of the sky by him, and it lay in front of him. Tisk tisk, what are you talking about? I'm here to court death today, right? Lu Han sneered mercilessly. His weird tone was particularly harsh in this silent forest. Hangguang, today is your day of death. Give it to me. Munashi was so angry that he raised his hand to give an order. Ha 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 ha. Lu Han's wild laughter interrupted Munashi Ghost 7's voice, ha ha ha. Why didn't we change places? Munashi Ghost 7. Today you and I are the only ones who can leave here alive, ha 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 ha. With the frantic laughter, Luhan disappeared on the crossbar with one hand, and the laughter appeared in the distant forest. Munashi Guichi suddenly turned his head to look west, his eyes narrowed, and suddenly turned into a glimpse, chasing the direction Luhan left. The two left one after another, getting further and further away from the ruined forest, and soon, people could no longer feel the breath. There was an eerie silence in the ruined forest. Kurigakure 12 ninjas looked at each other, and they all looked at Gen 7 ninjas. In General Chiren, Zero Snake has slowly raised the knife, his eyes swept coldly, and he said in a low voice, according to the previous order of Lord Hangguang, don't leave alive. Kill. ... Dense forests and rolling hills. Away from the previous battlefield, the air gradually became fresh, and the sultry feeling struck again. Luhan moved several times in a row, then turned into a rush, and ran for dozens of kilometers in one breath. He wanted to stay away from the previous battlefield. Luhan did what he had to do, and he also let out the strongest Munashi Ghost 7. If the Genbu 7 ninjas still die there, then their lives. Chirp. A crisp cry suddenly sounded high in the sky, and Luhan, who was running wildly, suddenly looked up, and the altitude above was 1,000 meters. It was Fino. Luhan stopped abruptly, turned around quickly, and pulled away to prepare for battle. Call. A gust of wind came. Munashi Ghost 7 arrived, standing on a tree branch 30 meters away from Luhan. Humph. It won't take long before a large army reaches this area. Munashi Guichi looked at Luhan and grinned, you're dead. Chapter-263-Luhan vs Munashi Ghost 7. Don't talk too much, otherwise it will be even more ugly to die. Luhan said lightly, giving Munashi Guichi a contemptuous look. Don't worry, I will definitely make you die ugly. Arrogant. Arrogant. Oh, you didn't force me out. Every time I meet you, you always look like you will kill me, aren't you annoying? Humph. Munashi Guichi suddenly laughed, as if he had remembered something good, and looked at Luhan with a colder expression. According to the last information, you should be just 12 or 13 years old, right? 13. It's okay to tell you, you're dying anyway. Ha, 13 years old, 13 years old. Munashi Guichi sneered, with a frenzy on his face, as long as you die. If you want me to kill you, I can sit on Captain Anbu's seat. Location. Ha ha ha, maybe I'll be a Mizukage in the future. Where did your confidence come from? You guessed it. I'm guessing, you're 80% mentally ill. Ha ha ha, Kiba, sharp-mouthed kid. There's time for you to beg for mercy. Luhan and Munashi talked for a while, but no one made the first move. Both have reasons. Luhan is waiting for his chakra to recover automatically. He used the S-level forbidden technique before, which consumes a lot of chakra, and he doesn't have many big blue bottles, so he has a chance to recover automatically, which is naturally excellent. And Munashi Ghost 7. Luhan knew that this guy was delaying the time. Fino just noticed the situation around here and had already gone back to report. Fino will notify the Kurigakure army to come, so the longer it drags on, the better for Munashi Ghost 7, the more beneficial. Come on, Munashi Guichi sang. It's time for life and death. Luhan raised his knife and gave Munashi Guichi a provocative look. Please. Munashi Kiichi raised his beheading sword. The atmosphere suddenly became tense. The air seems to freeze. A sense of chill spreads. Boom, boom. At the same time, a deep pit burst out under the feet of the two, and at the same time, the two, who were like tigers and leopards, got close in an instant, and started the duel of swordsmanship first. There was a sound of dang dang dang, and the airflow generated by the collision of the knife and the knife swept around, forming bursts of whistling. The weapons of the two are very large. The blade of Kurigakure is very similar to the beheading sword in terms of quality, but the special effects are different. Little devil, the knife is not bad. What a lot of nonsense. Boom. Luhan suddenly slammed the knife, and directly pushed Munashi Guichi out, and then flicked his left hand, and more than 10 kunwu shot out, shooting at Munashi Guichi. Munashi Guichi didn't dodge or dodge, he just waved his big sword, caught the advantage of the wide blade, and knocked out all the kunai with one sword. Kaden Fire Style Great Fireball Jutsu. Luhan, who threw the knife into the sky, quickly completed the hand seal. Wu tilde rumble rumble. The huge grand fireball with a diameter of more than 10 meters was blown out by Luhan and charged towards Munashi Oni 7. This is. Munashi was shocked. He didn't know the grand fireball hand seal, and he had never seen a similar art. Such a highly condensed and hot flame attack, a slight scratch on the body can kill people. Sweden Water Style Big Flood. Munashi Kiichi, who quickly retreated backwards, completed the hand seal and spit out a huge amount of water. It was an A-level Sweden Water Style. The water Jinchuriki column transformed into a dragon, and slammed into the LV9 Ultimate Grand Fireball. The Grand Fireball burst open, but was extinguished by the surging water, and the white mist rose, obscuring the forest. Kurigakure that he had thrown into the sky first. Boom! Munashi Guichi bent his knees and jumped straight towards Luhan like a cannonball. Luhan's eyes flashed down when he looked down. Kai, 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 Kai. Another kunai shot at Munashi Kiichi. Munashi Ghost 7 was not affected in the slightest. With just one swing of the knife, all the kunai were thrown away, and at this moment, Luhan disappeared into the air, and appeared in front of Munashi Ghost 7 in an instant. Hit out. Strategy. The tactics Luhan used against Uchiha Baiyi. Take advantage of Shadow Flash Second Dan to find a chance to kill Munashi Oni. Just in the process of running away from the ruined forest, Luhan had already recast the second stage of Shadow Flash on his arm. Humph. With a sarcastic hum, Luhan's Rasengan had already been launched, and at this moment, Munashi Guichi suddenly disappeared in front of Luhan, and then appeared again, but there were 9. Luhan was in the air, and 9 Munashi Ghost 7 appeared around him at the same time. They were exactly the same. Have the same breath, the same equipment, the same weapons. But there is no doubt that only one is true. Fuck. Luhan was suddenly startled. Rasengan had already slammed into Munashi Guichi in front of him, knocking him into a cloud of white smoke. 8 Munashi Ghost 7 left. 8 beheading knives slashed at Luhan at the same time, almost blocking the possibility of Luhan dodging. Luhan couldn't tell which one was the real one for a while, and the Shadow Flash technique was a speed-type blinking technique. There must be enough space for Luhan to escape with the second stage of Shadow Flash. But not at this time. Luhan never thought that he would be so easily forced into a desperate situation by Munashi Ghost 7. This may not be considered a real desperate situation, because only one Munashi Ghost 7 is real, the others are fake. Luhan only needs to choose. By the way, you can directly break through. But it's by luck. Good luck escaping. Bad luck, but will be cut by Munashi Ghost 7-1. There is no doubt that the sharpness of the beheading knife is enough to cut off Luhan's steel-like bones. A close call. Shikatsumyaku Dead Bone Pulse Dance of the Golden Amber. Chi-chi. Luhan turned into a huge hedgehog in an instant, because there were too many thorns, too long. A 360-degree all-round attack without dead ends. Luhan has been using Shikatsumyaku Dead Bone Pulse as his trump card, and this time, he is really forced to use Shikatsumyaku Dead Bone Pulse. Shikatsumyaku Dead Bone Pulse. You belong to the Kagaya clan. Munashi Onishi exclaimed. The 7 clones had been pierced by the bone spur and exploded into white smoke. The real Munashi Ghost 7 also twisted his waist and slashed at the bone spur, using his strength to stay away from Luhan. Naturally, Luhan couldn't answer Munashi Ghost 7's question. Kaden Fire Style Demon Flame Art. Chapter-261-280 Munashi Ghost 7's Stunts. Ghost Flame Technique. Master Luhan has been using this technique for more than half a year. Although it is only AB level ninjutsu, the attack speed is as fast as lightning, and the flame temperature is extremely high. At first, Luhan was almost killed by Shimura's ghost flame technique, but now, Luhan's hand seal is much faster than the original Shimura fire storage, and it only takes half a second to complete the hand seal. LV9 Ultimate Ghost Flame Technique. Although there is no growth potential, its power has already surpassed that in A-level ninjutsu, and its power belongs to the top LV1 Great Fire Destruction. Faster than Great Fire Destruction. Call. The curtain-like dark Yuhi-colored flames rushed towards Munashi Ghost 7, as if a ghost were coming. This kind of powerful attack ninjutsu. Humph. Munashi Oni Nane hummed and whispered. The attack of the ghost flame jutsu had already reached him, but he saw his whole body burst into a hemorrhagic mist and suddenly disappeared into the air. Shout rumble. The ghost flame technique hit the forest, destroying a small piece of the forest, causing bursts of roars. In the mountains, a lot of trees have been destroyed because of the previous collision between the LV9 Ultimate Grand Fireball and the Munashi Oni 7A level ninjutsu, and there is a small lake in the forest. Luhan handed the blade of Kurigakure and fell on the lake. The lake, a little blood mist erupted first, and then, Munashi Ghost 7 appeared out of thin air. He was covered in blood and stared at Luhan with a black face, but it didn't look like he was seriously injured. This guy, really decisive. Is it some kind of space-like telekinesis that can be performed even in unstable space? It needs to be at the cost of injury. Luhan was touched. Munashi Guichi did not choose to use the spell to confront the ghost flame technique, but chose to avoid it. It has to be said that it is a very wise and unique choice. The ghost flame technique is too fast and the flame temperature is extremely high. When they collide, an explosion will inevitably swept across a huge area, and the Munashi Ghost 7 will bear the brunt. That case, Munashi Onichi may still be injured, but he may not be injured, but one thing is certain, that is, he needs to consume a lot of chakra before he can perform the art of fighting ghost flames. Therefore, he chose to avoid it, and would rather suffer minor injuries than gamble. More importantly, the chakra is left. This is the fighting style of Munashi Oni 7. For other people, it is really difficult to have the courage to take the initiative to be injured when it is not in a desperate situation. Are you from the Kagaya clan? Munashi Guichi asked again, his voice much lower. He bowed his waist with one foot behind him, holding the beheading sword diagonally, exuding a fierce aura all over his body. Guess what? Luhan replied quickly, then disappeared into the lake. Shadow Flash 2. Luhan blinked and appeared in front of Munashi Ghost 7, galloping and jumping, slashing horizontally with his side. Munashi Guichi raised his sword to block each other. The two swords collided vigorously several times in a row. Munashi Guichi suddenly retreated, and with a flick of his hand, it was a kunai that prevented Luhan from chasing, and jumped back again, completely away from Luhan. Are you afraid? Luhan mocked. Since you have Shikatsumyaku, Dead Bone Pulse, it's very difficult for me to beat you in melee combat, so. Munashi Guinan thought clearly and said. He quickly raised his hand and hung the beheading sword behind his back, then put his hands together and lowered his head. He shouted, "Suffer to death." Futon, wind style, blade of the fallen. Suddenly, a gust of wind surged behind Munashi Ghost 7, and all the surging wind rushed towards Luhan. During the blowing process, the wind condensed into a slap-sized wind blade, overwhelming the sky and covering the ground, and there were countless wind blades. Ching! Like knives, stabbing at Luhan. Some wind blades rubbed against the stones on the ground during the movement, and directly shattered the stones. Futon, wind style, is suitable to be used in conjunction with taijutsu, most of which are close combat techniques, while a few futon, wind style, ninjutsu can be used to attack from a distance, and the speed is outrageous. Kaden, fire style, fire dragon fire bomb. Luhan completed the hand seal in an instant, which is the powerful attack ninjutsu he is most familiar with. LV9 Ultimate Fire Dragon Fire Bullet. The power surpasses ordinary A-level attack ninjutsu. Whoosh! Wind blades, the power of a single unit was not strong, and the energy was scattered. Smash all the wind blades that you are heading towards, and go straight to Munashi Oni 7. The firelight blocked Lu Han's sight. But Lu Han could feel that Munashi Ghost 7 disappeared in that direction, his breath suddenly disappeared, and immediately. A strong sense of crisis enveloped Lu Han. The blood-covered Munashi Ghost 7 appeared 20 meters behind Lu Han. This was an absolutely safe distance for Munashi Ghost 7. Even if Lu Han used Shikatsunyaku, Dead Bone Pulse, he was able to escape completely. Sweden, Water Style, Prison of the Mist Lock. Munashi Ghost 7 blew out white mist, like white smoke from the mouth, extremely large. These white mists seemed to be alive. When Lu Han felt the crisis, the white mist had already appeared, and it rushed to Lu Han in an instant, trying to swallow Lu Han. What is this technique? Why does it make me feel scared? Lu Han, who has experienced countless life and death killings, has a strong sixth sense. He felt the horror of this technique, and jumped out in an instant, trying to avoid the white fog. While waving the blade of Kurigakure, trying to absorb the white mist. But, this kind of special ninjutsu white mist, the blade of Kurigakure can't absorb it at all. The white fog was surging too fast, and Lu Han didn't dodge in time. The moment he was enveloped in the white fog, Lu Han felt a stagnant feeling, as if his body was suddenly pressed against a mountain. It made Lu Han feel exhausted and heavy. The frost-white chains, looming in the white mist, had already pulled Lu Han's hands and feet. Lu Han can still move, because the chain is not real, it is just a manifestation of the power of ninjutsu. The prison of fog can only put pressure on the target, limit the target's use of the instant body, and slow down the target's movement speed. No lethality. Lu Han struggled in the white fog and tried hand seal to break the restrictions of the fog lock. Die, die. I don't think you will die this time. I really don't want to waste time with you, let you see this trick. I've been practicing hard for 30 years to master the stunt, you should be content. Munashi Guichi grinned muttering. The right hand suddenly moved forward, the left hand grabbed the right wrist, and the whole body suddenly burst into blue energy. Secret Art Green Hand. Chapter-261-280 Hand vs Mie Rashomon. Munashi Onigiri's unique S-rank secret technique, Blue Hand. He is not impatient, but he doesn't want to fight with Lu Han. He knows how evil and strange Han Guang is. It's too late to change. At the moment when he used the secret technique, his right hand swelled and became larger, and the skin turned blue. In just one breath, his hand turned into a monster-like claws, more than 1 meter long, covered with horny. It's not that his hand really got bigger, that's chakra, the chakra of the changing shape forms the claws, and his real palm is inside. He wants to kill me. He first restricts my ability to move, and wants to kill me. Does it take 30 years to become a master's stunt? Lu Han was shocked, he couldn't escape, he couldn't hide, at most. Only can use defensive ninjutsu. He is still able to move, and if he only moves his fingers, the impact will be huge. With the strange force on his arms, Lu Han made a decisive decision, suddenly folded his hands together, and quickly changed his gestures. You can't prevent it. Die. Munashi Ghost 7 roared hysterically. At this moment, he waved his arms and threw his green hand out. The green hand stretched forward at a high speed, and at the same time it was still expanding. This scene looked a little disgusting, like a Munashi ghost. Chi's arm became longer and thicker, turning blue and black, and even scales grew on it. Kai, whoops. The sharp claws rubbed against the air to create flames, as if to tear the space apart. This was both a physical attack and a ninjutsu attack. Qingsho stabbed forward at an extremely terrifying speed and went straight to Lu Han. Death is so close to Lu Han. The power of this blow seems to be able to destroy a small mountain. And in this moment, Lu Han completed the hand seal of defensive ninjutsu. Because the seal is not complicated, it only changes gestures 5 times in total. However, this is a technique that Lu Han has never used publicly. It is a technique that requires a large amount of chakra to perform. A life-saving defensive ninjutsu that is only used during confrontation. The second forbidden technique given to him by Sarutobi Hiruzen. Luhan relied on the forbidden technique which took half a month of retreat with the golden potion. Super A-level defensive ninjutsu developed by the first Hokage Senju Hashirama, known as the God of Ninja World. Psychic Triple Rashomon. Boom, 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 boom. Yuhi, green and blue. Three gates with a grimace pattern up to hundreds of meters rushed out of the ground in an instant. It directly collided with the green hand that was charging forward. The first Yuhi door, which was completely hard defense, was directly smashed by the green hand, and the green hand hit the second green door, which was full of green doors. Cracked, and the green hand shattered. Ah, damn it! Munashi Guichi screamed in agony. Is very similar to Rasengan in some aspects. They are both forbidden techniques. If Rasengan doesn't play well, he will blow himself up, and so is Chingsho. In the collision with the triple Rashomon, Chingsho broke the first door, but exploded and shattered in front of the second door. Even with the flesh and blood that directly blew Munashi Guichi's entire right arm, the flesh and blood were rolled over, and the bones and tendons were exposed. Rashomon. Damn it. Rashomon of the first Hokage. Ah, why do you do this? Munashi, the Ghost 7, retreated, screaming in pain and scolding, already thinking of retreating. If he knew that the cold light would meet Rashomon, he would never use the green hand, which is the defensive stunt of the first Hokage Senju Hashirama. Nearly 40 years old, the well-informed Munashi Kiichi naturally knows its power. It's too late to regret. But he knew he could be saved. Although temporarily disabled, the powerful medical ninjutsu can theoretically heal any injury, but there is a premise that Munashi Onani has to get out of here alive. Whoosh! The Rashomon disappeared. When the triple Rashomon appeared earlier, the prison of the fog lock had already been swept away. The moment Luhan, who was not restrained at all, sprinted towards the Munashi Ghost 7, and lifted it at the same time. A finger. The art of water and iron cannons. Water spurted out from Luhan's fingertips and stabbed at Munashi Ghost 7. Even though Munashi Ghost 7 was seriously injured, he still reacted quickly. He instantly took out the beheading sword with his left hand, and blocked the water iron cannon with the wide blade. As attack. The water iron cannon was unable to pierce the beheading sword and did not hurt Munashi Oni 7, but Munashi Oni 7 flew out under the powerful force of the water iron cannon. Having lost an arm to maintain his balance, Munashi Kiichi, who flew backwards, had difficulty maintaining his balance in the air, and had to adjust his body posture. He was unable to hand seal. Cadent Fire Style, Phoenix Sage Fire Technique. Luhan continued to rush forward, completed the hand seal again, and shut up with his knees bent. LV9 Ultimate Impatience Fire. Boom, 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 boom. Fireballs the size of grinding discs shot out continuously. The bombardment hit the ground again and again, blasting the ground into a big hole. Munashi Ghost 7 Crazy Dodge. The figure keeps flickering, disappearing, appearing, disappearing, appearing, constantly changing positions. He can still hide. Instantaneous instant body technique. Every time he blinked, blood mist would erupt all over his body. This forced blinking movement caused a very high load on his body. Luhan spit out all 21 fireballs, blowing up a mess within 100 meters, but he just missed Munashi Ghost 7. This guy is not ordinary tenacious. His right arm is disabled, and every time he blinks, he will aggravate the injury of his whole body. But he never stopped. He was hiding all the time, and he was able to dodge every time. Call. After Luhan finished the Fengxianwo attack, the blood mist scattered on the distant stone, and Munashi Ghost 7 appeared out of thin air. Hangguang. Today's revenge. I will definitely get it back. Munashi Guichi stared at Luhan and roared excitedly, his voice trembling uncontrollably. His arm was even more horrific, but he still held the beheading sword in his left hand. You think you can run away? Ha! Luhan smiled. Don't be afraid that I will perish with you, just chase after me. Munashi Guichi's voice was harsh, but what he said was Luching. To perish together, Lu Han muttered, and looked at Munashi Guichi, who was in a state of disarray. His eyes suddenly changed. A pair of 3 Tomo Sharingan appeared at the same time. Secret art, Shimoko's illusion. Munashi's eyes froze for a moment, as if he had seen some kind of dream scene. Falling leaves. Countless falling leaves. Chapter 0276_1 killed a level 50 gold boss. The withered yellow leaves rustled and fell more densely than the torrential rain, and a sense of loneliness and desolation came to my mind. Munashi Guichi couldn't help but recall half of his life. When he was young, he was determined to be a hero in troubled times, and when he was young, he was determined to become a Mizukage. He grew up step by step. Keep moving forward. What is all this for? Munashi Guichi doesn't know either. He just thinks that people can't be ordinary when they are alive, and they must have a distant goal and strive for it. Every time he goes through life and death, Munashi Oni will have a new understanding of his life, and this time, Munashi Oni feels lonely. Cold. Pucci. Munashi Ghost 7's consciousness stopped at this moment. The pain came and went quickly. The moment before he lost consciousness, the leaves disappeared in front of Munashi Ghost 7. Munashi Ghost 7 saw the thin figure wielding a sickle in front of him. I saw the blood yuhi that sputtered with the light of the sword. The blood yuhi quickly filled the world of Munashi Oni 7. Silence, in no sound, no sight, no breath, everything ends in this moment. ... Lu Han sprinted to the front of Munashi Ghost 7, waved his arms vigorously, and slashed horizontally with the sickle. What a big head soaring into the sky. A large amount of blood spurted into the sky from the neck of the standing headless corpse. Golden light like fireworks erupted on the corpse. More than 30 pieces of falling objects spewed out like Izumi, turned into a streamer, and penetrated into Lu Han's body. Ding! Congratulations to Subversive 3665 for killing a level 50 gold boss. The elf's prompt sounded beside Lu Han's ears. The leader of the 7-member squad of the Ninja Blade of the Mist. Munashi Oni 7. Die. Damn it, forcing me to use all my cards. Lu Han stood bowed in front of Munashi Guichi, his face paled and panting violently. He couldn't help but cursed in a low voice. His chakra had bottomed out, and other techniques' consumption is second, mainly the triple Rashomon, which made Lu Han consume at least 60% of his chakra. With a thump, Munashi Oni's headless body knelt on the stone and rolled down. He let out a long sigh, and Lu Han, who was still waving his sword, slowly retracted his posture, but his mind was a little complicated. Munashi Guichi, an opponent, is really scary. If we compare the number of masters, Munashi Guichi can't compare with Lu Han, and even if he is stronger than Lu Han in terms of combat experience, reaction awareness, etc., but that advantage is not enough to make him win Lu Han. Munashi Guichi, the scary thing about him is that he is very decisive, understands what the trade-off is, and never hesitates. This has a lot to do with his life experience. The two didn't fight for a long time, but Munashi Guichi put Lu Han in a desperate situation twice. Lu Han used Shikatsumiku, Dead Bone Pulse, and Rashomon successively to relieve the crisis. However, Munashi Guichi also made a mistake. In fact, it can't be regarded as a mistake. It can't be equal to anyone else. Hangguang turned out to be the defensive stunt of the Master Hokage Senju Hashirama. It was this misstep that caused Munashi Guichi to be in a desperate situation. His right arm was abolished and he couldn't hand seal, and his strength was more than 90% abolished. However, Lu Han didn't kill him easily, and even suffered the death of him. Threat. Lu Han didn't suspect that Munashi Guichi was lying, so he used 3 Tomo Sharingan to activate the illusion of Samik. Shimoko's illusion. This technique has a lot of flaws. The flaw is that this technique does not bring the target into a real illusion, but only deceives the opponent's eyes and blocks the target's perception of the outside world to a certain extent, but cannot bring the target's consciousness into the real illusion. Bring the target consciousness into the real illusion, and the target cannot control the body, because the instructions sent by his consciousness are also in the illusion. And Shamoke's illusion did not bring the target's consciousness into the illusion, but only deceive the opponent's eyes. In this case, the target's body can still move. To break the illusion of Samek, the goal only needs to turn around. Although this is difficult to do, because Shimoko's illusion will affect the target's mind and make the opponent dazed, but as long as it is done, avoiding Luhan's eyes, Shimoko's illusion will be broken. If you meet someone with a very firm mind, the illusion of Samek is useless. If Munashi Ghost 7 is not injured, has no intention of retreating, and his mind is in chaos, Luhan really can't guarantee that Shamoke's illusion will affect Munashi Ghost 7. The mountain of corpses and the sea of blood came over. However, there is no if. Munashi Ghost 7 finally died under Luhan's sword. First kill the 50-level golden boss, okay. There should be an S-level technique. If it is recovered, at least 40 or 50 ingots, hey. Luhan was full of joy, and immediately took out the big blue bottle, and even I drank 2 bottles. He didn't fully recover his chakra, but at least he had to recover some first. His chakra was really bottomed out. According to the rules, when his chakra was lower than 10%, the automatic recovery speed of chakra would be greatly slowed down. Chirp! A sharp cry suddenly sounded in the sky. Huh! Luhan suddenly looked up. An altitude of 1,000 meters, a Kurigakure flying ninja was circling on a water-crossing eagle. Humph! Lu Hanyan went to Sharingan, looked at the sky with cold eyes, raised the bloody scythe in his hand and gestured, protesting. At the same time, he opened the small map and glanced at it. There was no one else within 10 kilometers. Let's get out of here quickly, Fino is really troublesome. Luhan muttered, leaned over quickly, and then, stunned. The beheading sword is gone. Who is the psychic gone? Luhan blinked his eyes and didn't have time to think. He put one hand on the headless corpse, deprived him 5 times in a row, failed 4 times, succeeded once, and got a bottle of spiritual medicine. The southwestern mountains of the country of vortexes, the southern mountains, and the dense forests. The figure in the gray robe stood under the big tree, and the sunlight through the leaves left Madara's light and shadow on him, which also made the blood on the beheading knife in his hand even more fresh. Yuhi. Guichi, he is also dead. Boiling Yu's voice became deeper and deeper, and suddenly he laughed again, ha ha ha. Hengguang, you are so evil. I will definitely kill you. I will definitely. Call. Boiling rain disappeared in this forest. Chapter 0277_green hand scroll price. The ruined forest was a mess, with a thick bloody smell. There were some corpses lying everywhere in the forest, most of them were incomplete. 5 root ninjas covered in blood stood in a row, all of them were cold and silent. In front of the 5 people, a root ninja wearing a black robe and a mask leaned against a stone, slumped on the ground, and clenched a bloody knife in his backhand. He is injured. And beside this wounded root ninja, there is a 7th root ninja. The black robe of this ninja has been torn into rags. Muddy water and blood are all over the place. Even the mask is cracked, can hear with the sound of his breathing. He gasped vigorously, but he didn't seem to be able to catch his breath. The fresh Yuhi color deposited in his abdomen had turned black, there was a lot of bleeding, and the injury was extremely serious. Chirp. Over this ruined forest, the Shuadu eagle was circling with Kurigakure flying ninja, surrounded by several slap-sized flying bird ninja beasts. The flying ninja named Ringo Duojin has been here for a long time. He is capable of fighting. Flying ninja has the air superiority, and the comprehensive combat power can be said to be extremely strong. But he didn't dare to fly down, didn't dare to join the battle, and watched as Kurigakure's Jonin and Elite Jonin were killed one by one. He witnessed with his own eyes how terrifying the 7 mysterious ninjas in black robes and masks were. When they are not moving, they are like harmless sculptures, and when they are fighting, they are madmen that make people chill from the bottom of their hearts. Time flies. Flying ninja is still hovering in the sky, and the information has been sent out by the intelligent Asuka ninja beast, and a large group of Kurigakure will come here. In the ruined forest, the root ninja didn't seem to know that a new danger was coming, and they still waited. According to the order of Lord Hangwang, when he arranged the plan before, they still need to wait here for 13 minutes. After 13 minutes, if Lord Hangwang has not returned, they can evacuate and go to the hiding place last night to find Might Dai Jiaoyang with Hyuga, and then escorted them away from the southwest mountains. Another few minutes passed. Call. Outside the ruined forest, 1 kilometer away from where Jen Kiran was located, Luhan appeared in the canopy of a towering tree. Looking around, Luhan noticed that Jen Kiran's green names were all there, and he was relieved. Win, as expected of an existence known as a killing machine, but none of them died. Luhan thought to himself, opened the insight map and glanced at it, then sat cross-legged on a large tree branch with a diameter of more than 1 meter, waved his hand, and fought before. All the fallen objects obtained appeared, and they were placed in a large area along the shape of the tree branches. Luhan killed a total of 8 people before, in addition to Munashi Ghost 7 and Ghost Lamp Dongying, as well as 6 Kurigakure Jonin. 3 were burned to death by the technique of blood mist, and 3 were killed by Jinghong Peerless Mesh Lightning. A total of nearly 200 drops were obtained. Among them, killing 6 Kurigakure Jonin earned more than 140 pieces. Because the dividing line of the drop differences between Jonin and Elite Jonin, if you kill a 40th level hostile target, you can only get a dozen drops for non-first kills, but if you kill a 30th level hostile target, you may get 2 or 3. 10 pieces. But the quality is totally different. The non-first kill Elite Jonin has a very high probability of dropping A-level spells, and will drop a large blue bottle, a large Yuhi bottle, and penultimate weapons. Instead of killing Jonin for the first time, although you get more drops, you will get a lot of garbage, and you will even get crude kunai. The small Yuhi bottle and the small blue bottle are still useful, and they only have a high probability of getting B-level spells. It is impossible to get an A-level technique. Luhan quickly counted, because the dropped items entered the space backpack in batches, and Luhan was able to distinguish them. First count the drops of 6 Kurigakure Jonin, more than 140, but only a dozen of them are really useful. 4 ingots, a bottle of spirit medicine, a bottle of golden potion, 2 big Yuhi bottles and 3 big blue bottles. 11 in total. Most of the others were crude and sophisticated weapons. There were also some small Yuhi bottles and small blue bottles, as well as a large number of C-level and B-level ninjutsu. For Luhan, some were still useful, but not very useful. Because there are very few B-level ninjutsu scrolls that cost more than 10 ingots and cannot be recovered, Luhan used up all the ninjutsu scrolls. Clear up the drops from killing 2 super elite Jonin. There are only 56 pieces in total. The first kill of the level 50 gold boss Munashi Ghost 7, get 38 drops. The non-first kill of the 50 level white silver boss Ghost Lamp Dongying, only get 18 drops. 4 penultimate weapons. Big Yuhi bottle 4 bottles. 5 big blue bottles. A bottle of golden potion. 14 types of B-grade ninjutsu scrolls. 28 pieces in total. 17 ingots. Only one of them is the Ghost Light Dongying drop. 7 bottles of spirit medicine. One of the bottles was dropped by Oni Lan Dongying, and the other was taken from Munashi Oni 7. A rare weapon. Grade A scrolls, 4. S-rank scroll, 1. It's developed. After counting, Luhan's eyes became more and more orders. He picked up the short knife that exuded Yuhi light from the drop. When the short knife was held by him, the light dissipated, and Luhan could see clearly the short knife on the short knife. Name, the rare crimson short blade. Not sure what special effects there are. Call. Following Luhan's call, the recycling Uzumaki appeared in front of Luhan, and Luhan immediately put the scroll together, showing that the price was 90 ingots, and the recycling price was 45 ingots. Luhan hesitated for a moment, then threw his hand away and recovered it. Looking at 4A level ninjutsu scrolls, 2 types of Sweden water style, 1 type of futon wind style, and 1 type of secret technique, all recovered. A total of 35 ingots. There is still one S-rank scroll that can be recycled. Secret Art Green Hand. It's that technique. The technique that Munashi Ghost 7 used to kill me. The blue hands. It's really vivid and straightforward. The triple Rashomon was broken by him. Its value will be. Luhan somewhat excited. He brought the scroll to the front of the collection of Uzumaki. The price is as high as 140 ingots. The recycling price is 70 ingots. This price. It's terrifyingly tall. A heavy Rashomon only costs 60 ingots. However, the first level Rashomon cannot guard against the green hands, and the first level Rashomon is an A-level technique, while the green hands is an S-level technique. Would you like to recycle it? This is an extremely powerful single attack forbidden technique. If I become a master, it will increase the upper limit attack ability, but... Luhan hesitated. I now have 124 ingots. This recycling. Chapter-261-280 and sad. Chingsho is undoubtedly a very powerful single attack forbidden technique, which can pierce through the first Rashomon and crack the second. This is a hard attack. The impact is terrifying. If you compare Luhan's Rasengan with Chingsho, the Rasengan that Luhan can use at this time is impossible to destroy the Rashomon. The power of Chingsho is many times higher than that of Rasengan. This technique is naturally very useful to Luhan. However, Luhan was still hesitant. Course, Master Chingsho can improve Luhan's strength, but Chingsho is not completely suitable for Luhan. As a forbidden technique with a medium range attack distance, Chingsho's operation takes a long time. It is necessary to limit the opponent's speed of action first to ensure that the target doesn't run away. The attack works. Secondly, Munashi Guichi himself was injured by the blue hand, and he was a head-to-head technique. When the blue hand couldn't penetrate the target, it would explode and hurt the caster. The advantage is that it is powerful. Great. The disadvantage is that the operation is slow, the effect is single, it is easy to be evaded, and it may hurt the caster himself. That's why Luhan just kept weighing, is he using the scroll to make his master? Or recycling? Hesitate for a long time. Damn it. This technique is so disgusting that it affects my handsome image. I don't want to learn it. Luhan made a very lame excuse. He just wanted another reason to convince himself. The hand scroll was thrown into the recycling Uzumaki. Get 70 ingots. Now, I have 194 ingots. Luhan looked into the space backpack. The gains from this battle are really big. Mainly because I killed the level 50 gold boss for the first time, and in 3 days, I can enter the subversive space again. At that time, it should be able to unlock more S-level techniques, as well as other more advanced exchange items. After thinking for a while, Luhan raised his head and looked outside the tree canopy, and then even if he used up all that was used, he drank the 8 bottles of spiritual potion in turn, and Luhan's total chakra increased again, approaching the level of a level 40 white silver boss. It's still a little, but it's the mid-level level of elite Jonin, and it can't compare to the super elite. A clearing in the central area of the ruined forest. Call. Luhan appeared out of thin air. I have seen Lord Hangguang. The 5 root ninjas knelt down on one knee at the same time. Get up. Luhan raised his hand. The 5 root ninjas got up, and the root ninja who was sitting beside the stone also struggled to stand up. He just consumed too much chakra, and his injury was not very serious. My lord, 12 Kurigakure ninjas, kill 11 of them. According to your previous order, I will wait for 1 Kurigakure Jonin to be released on purpose at the final stage of the battle. Zero Snake said respectfully, but his voice was cold. Yeah, Luhan nodded. He needed to leave a living room and go back and report to Kurigakure. He needs that Kurigakure Jonin to explain. The cold light is coming. How's the injury? Luhan squatted down again to check the serious injury of the dying root ninja. His heart sank, and the abdomen was pierced. It seemed that it was not a weapon injury, but was damaged by a Suiton like a water iron cannon. Water-style ninjutsu. To make matters worse, this seriously wounded and dying root ninja, code-named Sacred River. He is the only root ninja who understands medical ninjutsu. Big Lord. Sheng Chuan made a very weak voice, intermittently. Don't talk, Luhan said in a low voice, and then quickly hand seal. A hazy light rose from his hand, and pressed against Sheng Chuan's abdomen. Medical ninjutsu. Luhan knew medical ninjutsu. However, it was not taught by Tsunade, but the drop from a certain boss kill, which is just basic medical ninjutsu. Luhan has never wanted to expose his knowledge of medical ninjutsu. Although in the eyes of others, he is Tsunade's disciple, it is normal for him to know medical ninjutsu, but it would be strange if this matter spread to Tsunade's ears. Tsunade has never taught Luhan. However, the problem is not too big. Basic medical ninjutsu is not difficult to learn, and now, Hengguang is a genius. He said he taught himself, and no one would doubt it. Basic medical ninjutsu can't cure Sheng Chuan's injuries at all. At most, it can only heal the wounds on the surface of his body, and even deeper injuries cannot be cured. Sir, he won't survive, Zero Snake said strangely, and there was something in his words. Huh, Luhan looked up at Zero Snake. Kai. Very suddenly, Sheng Chuan, who had recovered from his injury, pulled out the kunai tied to the outside of his leg, as if using all his strength, he stabbed himself in the heart. Luhan's eyes were quick and he grabbed Sheng Chuan's wrist and shouted, "What are you doing? My lord, I can't drag you down. Let me die." Sheng Chuan's intermittent voice was still as emotionless, with a very firm tone, and he didn't even feel sad for his own death. Luhan clenched Sheng Chuan's wrist tightly, looking at the face that seemed to be very young under the crack in the mask. His heart was touched. Root ninjas, in a way, they are respectable, but more. Sadly, they don't even live for themselves, for a belief, for a person. 7 root ninjas swear to death because of Danzo's orders, but Luhan understands even more, who they were fighting for just now. At this time, who do you want to die for? Sheng Chuan obeys the order, Luhan suddenly said. Yes, Sheng Chuan promised. You are forbidden to commit suicide. Yes. Hold on, as long as you find Tsunade, you can survive. Luhan took the kunai in Sheng Chuan's hands, and looked up at Zero Snake again. How many days do you think he can last? 5 days. 5 days. Luhan was surprised that he could still live for 5 days. Luhan had just made a mental estimate and thought it would be 2 or 3 days at most. Sheng Chuan's vitality is very strong. Zero Snake explained coldly, that is. He needs someone to take care of him for the past 5 days, and he has no fighting power and cannot maintain the safety of adults. Yeah, good. Luhan nodded, stood up and said, take him, we'll be on our way. After saying that, he looked up at the sky again, looking at Fei Nin and the few birds and beasts. At the same time, he would see the map open it, and my eyes are immediately condensed. The south of the insight map, a large number of Yuhi points rushed into the scope of the insight map and continued to move at high speed. Kurigakure's vanguard is here. Let's withdraw. Luhan quickly snorted and waved his scythe again. White fog filled the air. Chapter 0279 _ hand over the cold light. The blade of Kurigakure is enough to release a dense fog covering an area of more than 300 meters. This is 90,000 square meters. And thickness. It can also reach 300 meters, and the forest is only tens of meters high. In this dense fog, Villa Hinoki and Shui Dying can't see what's going on inside, even the Hyuga clan with Byakugan can't see through it. Luhan continued to create thick fog, and asked Gen Kirin to follow him closely, telling him to move. Unlike Kaden fire-style ninjutsu, fire requires energy to burn. The burning energy of Kaden fire-style ninjutsu is chakra, so as long as the supply of chakra is cut off, the fire of ninjutsu will be extinguished. Suiton water style is not. The water created by Suiton water style will always exist, but it can form lakes in the forest, and even if it disappears, it will seep into the ground. Similarly, the dense fog created by Suiton water style will not dissipate due to the loss of the supply of chakra. The dense fog released by Luhan with the Kurigakure blade is, in nature, different from the Kurigakure technique. Difference. All dense fog created by the power of sweetened water style. Therefore, when Luhan moved at high speed with the blade of Kurigakure, the range of the dense fog was also expanding, with a radius of 300 meters. A radius of half a kilometer. A radius of 1 kilometer. The coverage area was getting bigger and bigger. It really covers the sky. Luhan created the thick fog in such a large area, naturally, to avoid Fino's tracking. If it was on the sea, this method would not work. Logically, Luhan, who created the thick fog, must be in the thick fog. And once he leaves the fog-shrouded area, he will be seen by Funan. However, this is not the sea. It's a forest. There are too many obscuring objects, which will affect Fijian's observation line of sight. As long as Luhan makes the dense fog area large enough, so that Funan can't take care of both sides, he will have the opportunity to completely shake it off. Leading Kurigakure troops that had already arrived, it was extremely easy for Luhan, who had insight into the map, to shake them off in the forest environment. Time flies. The Kurigakure vanguard has rushed into the foggy area, with a total of more than 300 Kurigakure ninjas, including more than 20 Jonins and several elite Jonins. This is the standard configuration of 2 ninja battalions. In terms of strength comparison, Luhan and 5 root ninjas will not necessarily lose to these more than 300 Kurigakure ninjas, but the problem is that it will waste time, and more Kurigakure ninjas will come. You're dead. Therefore, Luhan chose to evacuate directly. Sweden, water style, anti-water art. Futon, wind style, Datapa, great breakthrough. Quote. The thick fog, some Kurigakure ninjas used ninjutsu to try to clear the thick fog. They can indeed clear the dense fog, but not as fast as Luhan made. And they need to stop when they perform ninjutsu, and they will get farther and farther away from Luhan. Luhan led the people to run back and forth in the forest, and couldn't escape in a straight line, so Fino could easily see the regularity of the dense fog from the sky. Running back and forth, the Kabuto circle, was like holding a huge pen brushing, smearing white in the forest. There is a pattern to follow at first, but when the white is smeared back and forth into one piece, no one can find the pattern. There is a key point, the fog will float. So even if there is a small area of dense fog cleared by the Kurigakure ninja, the surrounding area is full of fog, and the wind will fill that area. In half an hour, Luhan created a dense fog area with a radius of more than 10 kilometers, which directly led to changes in the climate of the mountains and forests. Got windy. The wind blew away the thick fog, but the white fog created by Luhan was 300 meters thick. When it was blown by the wind, it did not become thin immediately, but spread out, covering a larger area. Hours later. Dusk. A faint mist filled the dimly lit mountains and forests. Within a radius of dozens of kilometers, thousands of Kurigakure ninjas were scattered everywhere, doing their final search. More than 20 flying ninjas patrolled back and forth in the sky to assist in the search. Luhan and Munashi Ghost 7 fought. A lean middle-aged man in his 40s stood by the lake, his face gloomy as if water was about to drip. He, Kurigakure Scout Force Commander, Mundogen. Beside Mundogen, several Kurigakure ninjas knelt down on one knee. One of them was covered in blood, but it was the one who escaped from Genshinin. The others were the first to discover the situation nearby. Kurigakure Flying Ninja. They all reported the situation to Mundogen. Cold light. It's cold light, Mundogen muttered, his cheeks bulging, almost crushing Kiba's teeth. Whoosh. The whistle sounded from a distance, approaching quickly. Mundogen frowned, and dozens of nearby Kurigakure ninjas all drew their weapons and were on high alert. Call. The gray-robed figure suddenly appeared in front of Mundogen like a ghost, and the wind blew on Mundogen, causing his hem to shake violently backwards. Mundogen was startled at first, then immediately became respectful, bowed and said, Master Boiling Rain. I've seen adults. The surrounding Kurigakure ninjas fell to their knees. Boiling Rain. He is finally here. Kurigakure, base camp in the Southwest Mountains is very far from here, and the terrain of the Southwest Mountains is extremely complex, making it impossible to travel quickly, and boiling rain, in less than 6 hours, ran from the base camp to here, spanning more than half of the country. Southwest Mountains. What's the situation? Boiling, you asked indifferently. Sir, it's Han Guang, I know it's Han Guang. Otherwise, I wouldn't have come. Tell me the specific situation, what was the loss, and have anyone caught it? After 10 minutes. By the lake, Boyu stood in front of a half-human tall blue-gray stone, silent. He has listened to the reports of the surviving Jonin, Fino, and Mundogan who directed the search, and already knows. Han Guang has run away again. Nowhere to be found. Boiling Yu kept staring at the stone in front of him. Munashi Kiichi died on it, and there was still dried blood on it. The body of Munashi Ghost 7 was not found because it had been burned by Lu Han. It was silent for a while, and the people around didn't dare to breathe. Pass my order, Boiling Yu suddenly said. My lord. Mundogan looked solemn. Stop the captive exchange plan with Konoha. Tell Uzushiogakure and Konoha that we have captured Tsunade, Jiraiya, and Orochimaru. Boyu continued, let them tell Sarutobi Hiruzen that if he wants his 3 disciples to live, just hand over the cold light. Chapter 0280-C Lord Danzo. Before nightfall, the mountains in the southeast of the country of Vortex, the mountains in the east. Under the steep cliff, there is a huge karst cave, only a little light at the entrance of the cave, and the inside of the karst cave is dark. Alas! A long sigh resounded in the darkness, containing regret and grief. It's getting dark, Lord Hangguang. Another voice sounded, then paused, and then whispered again, Adai, although I don't know Lord Hangguang, I feel that since I can sit down with Deputy Captain Anbu where he. Maybe. Master Hangguang didn't rely on his strength to become Anbu's vice captain. He is amazing, with unpredictable mission abilities. Not strength. He wants to kill Munashi Guichi. Then let's go, it's getting dark, take advantage of the good night to drive. Call. 2 figures appeared at the entrance of the cave, Might Dai and Hyuga Zhaoyang. The 2 looked up at the sky at the same time. Hyuga Zhaoyang turned on Byakugan again, looked into the distance for a while, and waved his hand, follow me. The 2 fled into the jungle and gradually moved away. Night falls silently. After Might Dai and Hyuga Zhaoyang left the cave, under the hazy moonlight, 8 figures appeared out of thin air outside the cave. Lu Han was at the front, and Zero Snake was carrying the seriously injured Shengchuan on his back. No one, go in. Lu Han whispered, entering the cave first. This cave was the hiding place of Lu Han and others the night before. According to Lu Han's previous orders, if he didn't come back here before dark, Might Dai and Hyuga Zhaoyang would immediately leave together. Lu Han came back late, but it can't be said that the time was wrong, because the plan could never keep up with the rapid changes. Lu Han created a large area of dense fog to avoid being searched by the Kurigakure troops, but it was difficult to get rid of Fino's aerial reconnaissance. Moreover, he was escaping with people, not alone. There are many people and big goals. As long as he leaves the dense fog area, he will always be found abnormal by Finoin. It was not until dusk that Lu Han led the people to completely escape Fijian's pursuit. It was because it took too long to get rid of Fei Nin's tracking that Lu Han came back. But it doesn't matter, Might Dai and Hyuga Zhaoyang are gone, because Hyuga Zhaoyang is injured and always needs someone to take care of them. If they keep taking them, they may not be able to help, but may be a drag. Now that Lu Han has attracted the attention of Kurigakure, he replaced Tsunade and became the new focus. Lu Han could predict that Kurigakure would definitely change his strategy and go all out to hunt down and kill him. In this case, Lu Han is in danger all the time, but everyone else is safe, and it is easy to escape from the Southwest Mountains. Maybe even. If it was Might Dai and Hyuga Zhaoyang, they were on their way to escape from the Southwest Mountains. Even if Finoin found their traces, they might not invite a large army to hunt them down, because it would be a waste of resources. There are a lot of Konoha ninjas sneaking into the southwest mountains. Most of them are Konoha Anbu and Scout ninjas. It is impossible for Kurigakure to report every time he finds one, so that people will chase and kill them. Shrimp, they are less likely to find. Cold light. The result Luhan wanted was to become the real focus, the only focus, so that Kurigakure no longer cared about other enemies and just wanted to find him. But I don't know if I have done enough before. ... A day later, the mountains in the southwest of the country of vortices and the mountains in the northeast. Might Dai and Hyuga Haeyoung, who had been on the road all night, found a relatively hidden place to rest in the early morning, and then set off again at noon to continue to the north. It was already afternoon, and Might Dai and Hyuga Haeyoung were moving fast among the trees in the lush mountain forest with many vegetation. After the two of them ran for hundreds of meters, according to Hyuga's Haeyoung gesture, the two jumped up at the same time and rushed into the dense canopy of the towering tree. Might Dai squatted on the tree branch, took a breath, and couldn't help but to Hyuga Zhaoyang looked. Hyuga Zhaoyang has opened Byakugan to peek into the distance. The two were on the road at the same speed, but the more tired one was Might Dai, who was physically strong. Without Might Dai of the 8 inner gates, his strength is really weak, and although Hyuga Zhaoyang is injured, he is the elite Jonin of taijutsu. Fighting is the most intense physical exercise. Hyuga Zhaoyang can't, but running is completely fine. Otherwise, it is impossible for him to escape and survive in the southwest mountains for so many days while being injured. Someone, Hyuga Zhaoyang, who was staring into the distance, suddenly whispered and raised his hand to signal. How much? Might Dai whispered. 1. Hyuga Zhaoyang responded, then his face changed, and he glanced at Might Dai in surprise. It's his own. My own. Might Dai was taken aback. It's Lord Danzo. Hyuga Zhaoyang looked again and confirmed again, it's really Lord Danzo. 4 kilometers north. Danzo, wearing a black robe and a hat, stood on the tree branch, glanced around, and jumped forward again. He didn't seem to be in a hurry, and he didn't mean to hurry. He entered the southwest mountains to find Han Guang, but in his opinion, Han Guang was 80% dead, so he really wasn't in a hurry at all. Just look for it. Really dead, naturally impossible to find, can only find casually, to deal with Hokage's orders. Danzo couldn't tell Sarutobi Hiruzen how to confirm that Han Guang was dead, so he could only pretend that Han Guang was not dead. You bastard, you won't let anyone live in peace. Danzo muttered, jumping forward again. Messy things, without any suggestion, which made Danzo not suspicious. Sarutobi Hiruzen ordered to come to find Hangguang. Naturally he had to think about it every day, and he could explain it by dreaming about it at night. Danzo, who jumped to another branch, suddenly frowned and looked forward. The sudden sound has sounded, getting closer and closer. Call. 2 figures sprang from the bushes taller than one person, knelt down on one knee at the same time, and greeted in unison. Deputy Captain Anbu's follower Kanglin, see Lord Danzo. The captain of the independent scout unit, Hyuga Zhaoyang, see Mr. Danzo.